Hello my beautiful badgers, Messy Coder back again with another live dev interview which took place over my Twitch stream, and this is with Adam Goodrich from Procedural Worlds, where we're checking out Gaia Pro. We're also going to be talking about Gaia 2, which was a free upgrade from Gaia to Gaia 2. Wonderful. And then there's Gaia Pro for you professionals out there who want to make amazing worlds, and we're going to make something together with Adam in this video. So sit back, enjoy, and I'll see you all in a moment. G'day.
G'day.
G'day, mate.
Mate, how's it going?
I'm alright, mate. Shall I put your webcam on?
I've got, yeah, if you want.
Do you
I look a bit crusty.
We had the webcam on the other day with old Malbers coming in. He put his cam on. It was all ridgy-didge.
Yeah. That's beautiful. Dressed up for the occasion, just well, we've got a bit of blur going on.
You're showing off the chest there. What is the difference between Gaia Pro and Gaia 2? Because you just said you've been doing tutorials with Gaia 2 and Gaia Pro. Isn't that the same thing?
No, well, yes and no. It's Gaia 2 is essentially Gaia Pro. It's got the same core engine, all the same concepts, most of the same code base. And then Gaia Pro is we've chucked everything but the kitchen sink in as well. So we had so much new stuff to Gaia Pro. Some of the things we add to Gaia Pro on top of Gaia 2 include, and I'm just looking at our feature comparison on the asset store because I actually forget and I'm a bit tired. So Gaia 2, what we've done is we've added multi-tile support now, and it's all GPU accelerated. We've added biome support, a really powerful filtering system. We've added support for URP and HD and built-in 7.2 and above for Unity 2019.3. Biomes, and I guess the big thing in Gaia 2 is that it's a free upgrade for everybody who bought it, Gaia 1 and supported us over the years. And then Gaia Pro is all of that, plus massive world support for both streaming and editing. So you can basically create 100 kilometers squared or 1,000 kilometers squared if you wanted to wait that long for it to generate and now stream it. Non-destructive massive world editing. One of the challenges we had, it's all very well to generate a massive world, but how do you edit it?
Yeah.
So we put a lot of time and effort into building, floating point fix and all that wonderful stuff into the editor itself and creating like a world designer. And I'll demonstrate some of this stuff to you. We also added a bunch of extra stamping and erosion operations and also some extra filter operations to Gaia Pro. We created a mass exporting system. And then we added spawnable visual effects and assets and sound effects and assets. We created a weather system with rain and snow, which is pretty cool. A time of day system, which is really beautiful. And then we also went a bit nuts with the content. So Gaia 2 comes with some sample content.
You went a bit nuts. I like the sound of that.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of people that have been working on these tools. We've had a team of 6 people working full-time on Gaia Pro / Gaia 2 for the last 4 months. But prior to that, we've had one guy, Peter, working on Gaia Pro probably for the last year and a half. So you guys get all of that for free, essentially, if you've got Gaia 2, and then all this new stuff if you've got Gaia Pro. So when I say we went a bit nuts with the content, we created a whole bunch of beautiful trees and terrains and grasses and mushrooms and logs and rocks. And then what we've done is we've gone out and done a bunch of photogrammetry and then enhanced those models so they're still nicely optimized for running in Unity, but there's a lot of beautiful detail on them. So that's been a team of 3 people running for about the last 4 or 5 months as well. So yeah, we tried to create with Gaia Pro a nice integrated system which had all of the sorts of things that you'd want if you were going to create, beautiful and rich worlds. Then what else have we had? A whole bunch of biomes as well.
I'm just showing
So
some of
there's,
the pictures that you sent me before. I hope you don't mind.
yeah, actually, I should put your stream up. What's your URL for that? If you drop it into the chat.
Let me. It's just a name, dude. You've been on like 1,000 times.
I know. I just can't remember.
I know you're tired. Hang on. Let me stick it in your Discord.
I'm absolutely exhausted. Actually, I've got it just here. It came straight up.
Now, because we're talking about photo, realistic stuff, and when you sent me these before, I was like, damn, I didn't know you started working on Unreal.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
It is.
That's so those are the assets that are actually included in with Gaia Pro, and you can see the photogrammetry coming through there. So the beautiful textures and so on. Those environments were created by our art team, and then they were manually augmented. So there's some, that's the sort of, I guess, result you could get if you put a bit of effort into your level design.
How long did that take for him to be going out and doing that?
Actually, they did it surprising. So they created 3 different beautiful environments, and it took them about a week.
So, but they got
And then
go out first to take the pictures of the stuff, or like a tree trunk or whatever.
Oh no. So no, this is the actual. So all of the content creation took about 4 months, and it's actually our second go at it, because the first lot that we launch with Gaia Pro, it wasn't very well optimized, and we were still learning the process. So the latest version of Gaia Pro 2.1 is where we basically redid it all, and everything that we'd learnt we improved on.
But it's scary because that's not what Unity's supposed to look like, and I don't mean it.
Very nice, isn't it?
Look, let's be honest. It's very difficult to get Unity looking really good in a landscape and still have decent performance. It's not easy, and the reason why it's not easy is that you don't see a lot of people managing to pull it off. If you look at a handful of them, the Forest and Green Hell managed to do it, but if you look at things like Escape from Tarkov, it is renowned at being awful on performance, depending on what kind of machine you got. You've got to have like a super beast of a computer even to be able to get that to run properly. So how are you pulling this off to be able to get things looking so beautiful, but people still being able to make a game out of it?
So these screens here, they're rendered out at 8K, and then I chucked them into Photoshop and put them back down to 2K or HD.
Sorry, but you haven't edited them, like done any Photoshop magic?
No, straight out of Unity, just with post-processing. This wouldn't run well unless you were running on a supercomputer, because we've beefed it up to show what's possible with the assets. So in order to make that that scene, you could make it run well, but you'd need to reduce the LODs a bit and tweak them. But we weren't trying to show necessarily, here is your game. What we're trying to show is this is the assets, this is what you've got. Yeah. And then it's up to you to choose how you want to, what level of quality you want to display them at.
Well, the big difference in Gaia Pro is that it's not only about, you've got these beautiful assets in there, but you actually have made it so that it runs well. So you can you can make a game It's not just a here and make some pretty pictures and do like a YouTube video where it's here's my speed design of my lovely level and you can't do anything with it.
Yeah. Well, we actually spent a huge amount of time working on the optimization for this version of Gaia 2 and Gaia Pro. And we've done things, and it's still an ongoing process. Like there's a particularly powerful technique that I want to implement still. We just ran out of time before the sale, and we had to get this out before the sale. So we want to also use layer-based culling as well. What we found is we set it up, and depending on which Unity version you use, it either keeps them and applies them to your project or it doesn't. So we've found a way of even optimizing it more, which we'll bring in the next few weeks. But yeah, our original models, the trees and everything, the polys on them were way too high. So we probably dropped them down to about a third of what they were, but still maintain the visual fidelity. And we use a lot of tricks to do that. And then, we've got spawnable sound effects in Gaia Pro. So you've got this spatial sound all around you. You can actually choose how the sound is brought into your scene. Actually, just chuck the video on in the background because that video is just stunning.
You've got quite a few different videos on actually. On the page. I click on the. Here we go.
Yeah, that's the one.
Now, when you're talking about sounds, but you've already got your hang on, why is it buffering? Where's all my internet gone? Somebody's stolen my internet juice.
Yeah, you're probably streaming it.
Yeah, that could be it. That could be it. But you've got ambient sounds already. So are you now including part of like the logic of ambient?
No, actually, ambient sounds. So there's this sort of challenge when you make assets. You could just make one asset and chuck everything into it, or you can have assets that specialize in different things. So ambient sounds has a huge amount of additional capability in terms of what you can do with sound. What we wanted was a way to bring what we've done in Gaia Pro is we've created an ability to dynamically sample your environment and then spawn sound zones into that environment. So the sound system in some ways it's not as capable as ambient sounds. Ambient sounds has triggers and all this other amazing stuff built into it. Gaia Pro doesn't, and it doesn't try to be that. And it's the same with Sector. Sector is a way more sophisticated streaming system than what we've provided with Gaia Pro. But, Sector can do audio dissipation, and you can choose sectors. That's why it's called Sector, right? So you could put a sector collider on a door and have it load a whole different scene. Whereas Gaia, what we've done in Pro is we've created a system that streams terrains. So, yeah, we have specialized products which have more and different features, but Gaia Pro, what we've tried to do is give you a really good tool that does 98% of what you'd ever want.
So if you've already got Sector and you've got Gaia Pro, would you use, how would they work together?
So we will push a little patch up for Sector shortly, which will make it play nicely with all the changes we've made to Gaia Pro. And you could either use Sector or Gaia Pro. Gaia doesn't care and Sector doesn't care. The sorts of things that you would do with Sector, though, which would be additional to what you might do with Gaia Pro, is that very specialized area-based streaming, like, for example, the dungeon door, those sorts of concepts. All of those things Sector does. And then Sector has a whole bunch of intelligence around streaming and culling of audio as well, which Gaia Pro doesn't have. Gaia basically has a different sort of a system, again, optimized and specialized for large open worlds, terrain type concept.
We got a question. Does Sector allow rendering terrains very far away, or is it only for culling loading?
Sector, the faraway terrains is difficult, right? Because you've got the performance, like Unity terrain is incredibly heavy. So in the latest Gaia Pro, what you've got the ability to do is actually export your terrains as nicely lodded meshes. And what we do is we do things like we bake the terrain, everything on top of the terrain, into the textures. So if you've got trees and houses and all that sort of stuff, you can actually choose to bake that into the texture we create for the distant terrain. And that's rather cool because at a distance, you can't tell if the object there is not, right? So what you can do, and it's not an automated thing at the moment, but you can manually set up Sector to load those lodded terrains up in the distance, and they are a heck of a lot lighter than Unity terrain, so you can use that to still maintain your performance.
That's nuts.
Yeah, one of our customers made a really good tutorial on how to do this, and it's actually linked to on the asset page for Sector, I think. So if it's not, we can get it.
Oh, hang on. Which one? Sector complete.
Yeah.
I'll go into that. And more information manuals, or
beyond the videos, I think.
Oh, and the actual.
Scroll up to the top. Yeah, there'll be a video. No, at the top. One of those ones I think talks about it. Sector audio, stress test, terrain streaming. If it's not there, we'll get it.
Drop me a link on Discord later, and I'll stick it in the Discord. Awesome.
I'll write it down to put down.
Oh, it's that time of the week where we get the same question that I've put to you 1,000 times. Any chance of looking into Sector to be compatible with Atavism, please? And it's more of a question over on Atavism's side as well, because Atavism, they've got it to work with WorldStreamer, so.
Yeah, well, I don't see why not. And it would be also useful to make sure that the streaming in Gaia Pro works with it as well.
I mean, that'd be there's a load of stuff that I'd love to see more integrated with the Procedural Worlds suite and Atavism. Just you guys need to have an excuse to be in Europe again and get drunk in a tavern somewhere.
Yes, that was a huge amount of fun. We did that last time. Those guys, oh my God, they can drink. Let's go out to dinner, and then you go home the next day.
Well, at least you managed to get home though, so that was good.
Yeah. It's Marcin and those guys, they're lovely. I totally enjoyed meeting them when we caught up.
But you let's. I know you're tired. I'm knackered. Let's have a play about on yours. If you want to load up your screen, and then you tell me when it's safe, and then I'll flick over the Skype.
Okay, I better close all those browsers.
Exactly. Doctor Who time. Don't check my browser history. All right,
let me.
Will Polyworld work with Gaia Pro? Well, it worked with Gaia. I mean, have you? I'm not sure if any of you, if you've seen it, Yolanda. Adam actually made a video with the Gaia and the Polyworld converter. It was.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that was it's in our on our YouTube, and you'll probably find a link to that Atavism video up there as well.
But it would still work with Gaia Pro, wouldn't it? There's no reason why.
Yeah.
Things that worked previously with Gaia are now suddenly going to not be integrated anymore with Gaia Pro, or are all the previous integrations now having to be redone?
There was we did make one self-inflicted wound. One of our it's a bit tedious. One of our developers created in our common library a class called utils, And the old Gaia had a class called utils, and the old Gaia doesn't use our common user interface library. And he never knew that there were other products depending on it. So there has been some conflicts with integrations with Gaia. We will fix it, and we've sort of got a workaround, which is not very elegant. We're actually going to change our common library, but we have been running so hard for so long that actually what we just need is a little bit of sleep, and then in the next week or so we'll tidy these little things up.
I was about to say, you need to make sure that you don't burn out. There is always the risk of burnout, isn't there?
Yeah, I actually can't remember the last time I had a day off. That's how crazy it's been. And even it's always a very stressful time when you release new products. And the Gaia Pro release that we did about 10 days ago, that was massive. Like, we added so many new things. It was such a huge amount of effort in terms of what we added to it. And then when we had that, we finally felt that the core code base was ready. So we then created Gaia 2 from that, and Gaia 2 launched the day before yesterday, I think. And even that, there was a bunch of confusion, and I think the first few reviews were quite interesting because they had nothing to do with the actual product.
That's never happened before.
Yeah, so I find those releases incredibly stressful, especially Gaia, because we have so many users that have bought Gaia over the years, and this is a free upgrade for them. So, there's nothing to stop people from just downloading it and trying it. And I was going, oh my God, what if we put a bug in there? So the last few days have been actually largely sleep-free. But we're really, really pleased with how it turned out. So will be very interesting to see, what people think of it. It's basically orders of magnitude better than Gaia 1, and we ended up putting in a lot more stuff than we originally promised, because all we originally promised was, hey, you'll get a free upgrade to Gaia 2 and it'll be multi-tile enabled.
Yeah.
Well, we've bought samples of audio and our other assets from Gaia Pro in. The new shader system that we built from the ground up again for the latest release of Gaia Pro, we put in for free. So we've got this really beautiful water and lighting, and actually the lighting's more standard, but water and the vegetation that we've got. Vegetation's beautiful. It supports triple SSS, location-based variation, world cover. So you can actually have snow and a texture working together, and the textures are done in world space. So if you've got multiple objects together, then they will. It looks like it's supposed to be there.
Yeah.
So we're really pleased with the new shaders that we've got, and they work across the pipelines as well, which has been, anybody who's ever worked with the different URP, HDRP, it's an absolute nightmare to try and get this stuff to work well across all the pipelines.
It's a thankless task to do that as well.
Oh, it is a very thankless task, because you get people that go, doesn't work, 1 star, and it's like, dude, have you actually seen HDRP lately? Even so, the challenging thing is, and I shared this internally with Unity, is supporting HDRP and lightweight and URP and then built-in. So in CTS we have 4 main shaders, and in 2019.1. So you would think, okay, 4 shaders multiplied by 3 pipelines. So now we've got 12 shader variations. But then in the release cycle of 2019.1, Unity released 4 or 5 different versions of HDRP, lightweight render pipeline. Fortunately, built-in stayed the same. But we had to then try and work out what's going on with each of those different things, because they're not documented. And then we had to rebuild the shaders. So the permutations and combinations is we're going from 4 shaders to 80.
Yeah.
And the challenge with with HDRP has been that because it's a preview package, well, until recently.
Yeah, until they decided that it's still effectively preview, but let's just pretend it's not, so people stop complaining that it's still in preview. That's effectively what they've done.
That's right. So what people look at the latest heretic video and go, oh my God, that's fantastic, I'll just get that. But what they sort of don't understand is that that's a whole bunch of specialists, and they kept that. They actually modified the render pipelines for those projects, and they're working closely with the Unity graphics team so that the stuff that they're doing gets reflected back in. But when you've got a product like ours, which just has to work across all the render pipelines, across all the Unity versions, across the competing products which have been built for different render pipeline versions because the changes are breaking between versions, it's difficult just to do it with your own assets, but to make everything just work, which is what our customers expect, is being a saga, which, in hindsight, I've gone, Jesus, I wish I'd never gone there.
I was going to say that to do HDRP is one of those things that you're either really brave or really foolish. Unity themselves don't even support HDRP in their own assets. Let's be honest. That snap art that they're doing it's like it forces you to use older versions of Unity because you can't use it in 2019 because it's not compatible with HDRP. That's their own, and they've labeled the artwork HDRP art. So it's an HDRP asset that doesn't work with HDRP, and it's made by Unity. So Unity themselves can't even make their own assets work with the latest HDRP changes. How do they expect anyone else to do it? And also, nobody else is allowed to do that because if you don't have it working with the latest version of Unity, they won't even allow you to put it on the store. So it's double standard, but it's soul destroying because I was just looking at some of the reviews on Gaia 2. One of them saying it's too different to be classed as the same asset. It's not. It's Gaia 2. One's Gaia 1, one's Gaia 2.
Somebody else put a crappy review on it, have they?
Yeah, and the other is about HDRP. But I can imagine how frustrating it is when you just basically, like you say, you're not sleeping to be able to offer something that you're not even getting the support of the company that is making it. And I feel sorry for Unity. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I bash them a lot but I also feel sorry for them because a lot of it is thrust upon them by people sitting above them in the executive chairs. The people who are sitting at their desks trying to do their work, trying to get the job done, they're having as much as a bad time as the rest of us.
Yeah, it's classic. So one of the criticisms on the latest review of Gaia Pro is you're now forced to use 2019.3. Well, why did we do that? Well, because the shader pipelines are absolutely insane to try and support. It's cost us a huge amount of money. We actually built the first set of shaders and we ended up having a bunch of problems with them. So then we hired another shader coder who we paid more than we actually earn in an entire month on the asset store to build these new shaders. And then even then, he, Scott /Echo Login, he still put another month into the shaders on top of what we paid him because he's a stand-up guy and he wanted to deliver. So even with all of that, that was just to get the shaders working with 7.2 and 7.3 on 2019.3. The shader graph is so broken that when you try and backport, it doesn't work. When you try and forward port, it doesn't work. But each of these things, we're paying a professional dude who's a really, really good shader coder a shit ton of money to do this for us. And people don't appreciate and get this. And then this latest review doesn't support HDRP, grass doesn't work. Well, that's because Unity Terrain doesn't support grass yet. You can't actually build a shader for grass for Unity Terrain and have it run as part of Unity Terrain. So, yeah, I mean, as a developer and a publisher, we have been bending over backwards to try and deliver a really high quality product. And the thing that's killed us is actually all the shader pipelines. The actual underlying technology, we had that nailed 3 months ago. That was actually why this Gaia Pro release was late. So yeah, it's incredibly frustrating to be judged by people for something that's completely beyond your control.
Yeah, man, I don't, because I want to ask you how much money all of this has cost you to get Gaia 2 and Gaia Pro out the door. But at the same time, I'm honestly scared of what the answer would be, because I would sit and try to do the maths, and I wouldn't be sure that you would actually break even on Gaia on the asset store, to be honest, because
it's in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, and we are not remotely close to breaking even on
hundreds of thousands of dollars, and you actually gave it away free for a load of people. You're giving Gaia 2 away for people who've got Gaia, and you did like a low cost Gaia Pro when it first came out until recently. Mate, I want to give you some bad news. I think pretty much everyone who uses Unity might have already owned Gaia, and might have already gone in with the low cost upgrade at the time. So I really, man, because I want to see you doing more stuff to be sustainable. But man, that's a lot of money, and it's confusing when you see people arguing about the price change, because when you look at World Creator and the price of that, and you look at Atavism and the price of that, well, Atavism's a bit different. They took a lot of heat at the beginning when they were changing their price structure as well. People have finally settled into it. But if you compare Gaia Pro with World Creator, that's not, you're not even near the cost of that yet. So it will take a bit of time for people to get their heads around the new price structure. But you need to be pricing up if you actually want to stay in business. It's understandable. But let's start playing about with your thing. And while you do, I'm gonna have a look in chat and see what people are writing.
All right.
And people are saying, yeah, Gaia was always too cheap. True. But the problem was, Pete, is that Gaia was cheap because Gaia was competing against, back in the day, Terrain Composer. That was like always $80, but always on a 50% off. Right? Terrain Composer and World Composer was always on a 50% off. Like, it probably was at full price for maybe 2 weeks of a year. And that was like the direct competition at the time for Gaia when it came out. Obviously, things have changed. I mean, Terrain Composer 2 came out, but even still, functionality it's still nowhere near. But anyway, let's see what is in chat. What is this Raffle Storm? Would pay a body part to join that raffle. What are we talking about?
I think they want something.
I think they do want something. Is there an upgrade Gaia 2 to Pro? And what are the benefits? Well, the benefits of what's the difference, as Adam was saying, on the store, there's a comparison chart. But yeah, what's the price upgrade from Gaia 2 to go to Gaia Pro?
Okay, so one of the things that we've done with the new version of Gaia Pro is we're actually, with the latest release, we finally think it's worthy of a Pro price. So we've increased its price to $287. And at the moment, it's on special as part of the spring sale. So you can get it for 140 odd or something like that. And the upgrade is 105, which is also half price for the sale. And what is the difference? Well, I'm just about to show you, I suppose. It's probably enough talk and
show it, baby.
Some demos.
Let's do it. Because somebody's going to win a copy, aren't they?
Yes, they are. And, hopefully Actually, the feedback we've had in the new release of Gaia Pro so far has been really, really positive. So, Gaia Pro, the way Gaia works is via the Gaia Manager. It's sort of like a wizard that automates a bunch of the stuff that lives inside of Gaia. So we have our standard tab, which is where you've got your typical world creation stuff. You've got an advanced tab where you can find out about your system. You can add your your various different components to your scene. So this is like, if you know what you're doing, these are things that are useful to do one-off operations of. Then we've got our extension.
If you know what you're doing, you're talking to me, mate. Of course I don't know what I'm doing.
You know more than you make on. You dirty dog. And then there's your installed extensions and your partner extensions. So via the Gaia extension system, we link you through to our website so you can find other cool things which we've integrated with. Our plan is to integrate a bunch more now that this thing's finally stable in the new release for Gaia 2 and Gaia Pro. So we'll extend on this. And then help. So if you want some help, you want to access your tutorials and so on, you just click on this and it'll pop up a website.
Now, have you got that funky magic like you have with the ambient packs of when you install it from the asset store, you install your package and then it comes up with your wizard and then does all of that magic for you, and it's importing all of the other related asset packages that it needs from the package manager. That is lovely. I love that.
Well, no, we haven't. We actually did do a package manager installer at one point, and it was quite an interesting thing to try and program. But what we found is that depending on the Unity version that it was running on and the project that it was running in, it would not always succeed. And it's a multi-stage process. So you have to have your system running, and then you've got to run multiple stages, and it's just really prone to problems. So what we've done with the latest Gaia Pro is the only dependency that we have for Gaia Pro and for Gaia 2 is post-processing, and you just install the latest version of that by the package manager. Yeah, that's it.
What about maths and jobs and sacrificing a chicken and all that stuff?
No, not a problem. We include the relevant bits in shader form inside of Gaia 2 and Gaia Pro.
Wow. Okay.
We weren't really happy with the way it worked in the old Gaia 1. What we were trying to do is create good experiences for people by including all this stuff. And, for the people that loved it and were new to it, it was great. But for the people who weren't, they hated it. So we've tried to simplify it and slim it down a bit with the new Gaia 2 and Gaia Pro. All right, so let me do some stuff.
Yeah.
We have our setup. This is where you can change your pipelines and all that sort of stuff. We explicitly say, hey, if you're going to do HGRP, we don't recommend it, but you can. But, who reads user interfaces? What are they for?
Oh, that's beautiful. Hang on. You've got here world size and large. Now, that's always a relative term, isn't it? I mean, how large is large? How tiny is tiny?
It's never big enough, really. That's what they say.
It is. That's true. And tiny is always
compact.
Yeah.
So this is a wizard setting, right? So this is where you can set your world settings. What we try and do is simplify stuff so it's not overwhelming when you first see it. So you can choose your large settings or so on, but if you open this up, you can actually see what it's doing. So large is 2K squares. So let's change that to small. Okay, it's down to 512. So what we're actually doing is based on these settings, we're not only changing the terrain sizes, but we're also changing the texture resolutions and the sorts of things we do there. So we're taking what we've learned about creating optimal Unity environments over the years, and we've wizarded this up so that you don't need to care. Somebody says 2 kilometer is large. Well, no, so let's change that. Let's change it to large and then put 100 of them in there.
So we could do that. Can you type in chat the size of the terrains you tried to make the other day that caused your Unity to explode? I want Adam to just see the kind of stuff that you've been trying to do. He was on our Discord trying, and I think at one point he was going to set fire to his computer. So he tried to make a 2,000 kilometer by 2,000 kilometer.
Oh my God.
Do you want some smelling salts to revive yourself?
Beaut, that's fantastic. How did that work for you?
And he was also trying to play about with HDRP.
Oh, excellent. That's like a double whammy. It's interesting. So we've been working on a game as well, and filling a game which is 4 kilometers in size with dungeons and, lots of interesting and beautiful things, then even just 4 kilometers is a hell of a lot of content to put into a game. You can create massive empty spaces, but in my opinion, they're pretty boring from a gameplay perspective. Yeah. So it's what are the things that you're creating for your customers? So while 2,000 kilometers is great, I can't really see the point of it from a practical perspective, but it's for some games you do want that sort of stuff.
And a lot of games that are enjoyable and fun and feel like they're massive aren't really. It's all smoke and mirrors. They force you to go around certain journeys, and actually when you zoom up and look down at it, the map is really small. You just don't realize it because you couldn't go directly to a point. You couldn't bypass the mountains and just go straight them through. You had to go around it, and as such you basically ended up on this weird adventure. But the map itself isn't really that big. It's just full of so much content. You're constantly engaged.
Right. Yes. So that's the challenge you create for yourself when you create really large environments, is if you want to make interesting gameplay, then you need to fill them full of interesting content. And that's a huge amount of effort. So
but you've also got the limit of Unity of how many prefabs can you actually get in your scene. Don't forget, you have physical limitations on what you can do.
Well, yeah. So as soon as you get up to around 100,000 prefabs, Unity really, really struggles. And then the other thing is, as soon as you get to 64,000 colliders, Unity's collider system collapses. So then you start to have to do things like streaming and culling and all that sort of stuff. And we've been working on another product called Storm, which nails all this stuff. Which is something we'll initially be launching into the pro markets. But these are really, really difficult problems to solve. And to make Unity run well with large environments is a very, very difficult problem to solve. Maybe in 2019.3 it's now massive with the number of colliders. The last time I looked, I can't remember which Unity, it was probably 2019.1, because we mostly, for compatibility, we started building Gaia Pro on 2019.1. And as soon as you got over 60,000, you'd play the game and your character would fall through the terrain because Unity's collider system just died. Anyway, nice. It's a bit of a moot point. I wouldn't do it, but Gaia now can. So the interesting thing that we've done with Gaia Pro is we have quite a big ambition for where we're going with the company, and we have a geospatial solution that's in development. And basically we want to recreate the real world inside of Gaia and have the ability for you to go around the entire planet if you want. And you can't do that without actually making fundamental changes for the way you render and the way you manage what Unity's doing, and that's what Storm's all about.
We've got some Storm questions coming in. So Twisted Storm saying, Twisted Storm said, I know you mentioned Storm won't be for indies at first. Would it be like buying a car cost-wise?
We're still working that out. And I'm not going to commit to anything because whenever I say something, it always comes back and bites me. So to be determined how we'll price it. And but I guess it's in the short term, it won't go up into the asset store. We're already talking with some of the top 20 in the Planet studios about integrating it into their workflows, and we'll see. Those pricing questions, we still haven't answered them for ourselves yet, so can't commit to anything until we've got that. And then another question was, what about origami? So origami is, there's a whole bunch of stuff that has happened and that we've done since the last time I spoke to you. And we're bringing a bunch of the tech that we created for origami into a new product, which will be called Gina Pro. So in the same way we've got Gaia for indies, or Gaia 2 for indies, and Gaia Pro for pro indies and pros, we're going to have Gina 2 for indies and Gina Pro for pro indies and pros.
Nice.
And we're going to bring, what's that?
Nice. I'm just drooling.
Yeah,
I just had to wipe my chin.
Oh man, it's already so cool. We have rivers and roads, extrusions, all this amazing mesh generation stuff. And then again, for one of the big pro studios, we're working on a roads solution. And if anybody has ever done anything with roads, the real world is all sorts of weird and wacky shapes. And to actually to get something that does real world roads, rivers, bridges, sidewalks, tunnels, overpasses, underpasses, it's incredibly complex stuff. So what we're going to do is that's what we're bringing into Gina Pro, and we'll have, I guess, two key engine products. That'll be Gaia Pro and Gina Pro. Gaia Pro will manage these massive environments and will feed data straight out of mapping systems into Gaia Pro. And then Gina will be the tool where we bring a lot of the smarts for road creation, river creation, really sophisticated building creation. And so Gina Pro will be coming to the asset store. Gina Pro also now has the ability to carve the terrain so that it can fit the terrain to the road or the road to the terrain. It can carve holes between hills and all this sort of stuff. So by making a pro version and an indie version, then we can basically start to justify the cost of creating this stuff, because this isn't actually this isn't simple or easy or cheap to create. So yeah, Gina Pro will go up in price as we increase its capability. We did the same thing with Gaia Pro. It started out more expensive than Gaia. And then with the latest stuff where we've finally brought together all of this capability, we've increased it to a pro price. So over time, Gina, as we add stuff, will increase to a pro price as well. But it'll be one of those things. If you want it and you think it can add value and you think that it's going to get you there faster, then you'll buy it. But if you don't, you won't. So it's one of those things. It's for those people that want those tools, they're now becoming available and we're making them.
Yeah, no one's forcing you to buy anything. How far are we from getting a preview, a little sneaky peeky weeky of Gina Pro?
We actually wanted to have the first cut of Gina Pro ready for the sale, and it's very, very close. But we actually put it on hold because we've got some other awesome stuff we're working on. And one of them I'll demonstrate today, and that is a product called Snap Builder. So I've been doing a lot of talking, and probably people want to see stuff, but people ask questions, so we're answering.
And we love listening to your voice. And I'd just like to say, Snap Builder has got nothing whatsoever to do with the Unity snaps on the asset store. So nobody worry about that. One quick question: what happened to Path Painter?
Path Painter. So Path Painter is still a thing. So we have a couple of products where we partnered with other publishers. So CTS is a partnership between us and Nature Manufacture, and we both put a huge amount of time and effort into that together. So it's a product that we're together. We're still developing. Path Painter was created by another publisher, and when he was launching, he launched it with us. Then over time, I think we sort of got to a point where we're going in different directions. So we mutually made the decision, well, hey, for you to be able to do what you want to do and for us to be able to do what we want to do, let's separate the products. So we did that. Basically, Path Painter is now with 3D Haven, which is the Frank, who's the original author. He's continuing to develop Path Painter in the way he wants to, and we wish him all the best.
Cool.
So it's no longer a Procedural Worlds product. The same thing, Real Ivy 2. We worked with the original authors of Real Ivy, and we published that as Procedural Worlds, and we do all the first level support, and manage the day-to-day stuff. And then we work with the authors of Real Ivy to make sure that feature requests get implemented, bug fixes get made, and so on. And then we publish and manage it.
That's an amazing, happy story, because those people who remember 3D Dynamite, the original, Real Ivy guy, he was on our stream and showing off Real Ivy when Real Ivy wasn't even available anymore on the asset store, because for tax reasons and all shenanigans going on, that he basically took it off the store because all of the basically how much tax and all that other headache that you have, it just wasn't worthwhile for him anymore to be selling stuff, because he basically he was losing money rather than making money. And Adam was in the chat watching that stream. We were drawing around, making nice little Ivy pictures and things, and a short time after that, Adam and Real Ivy chatting, and now we've got a lovely romance that is Real Ivy Procedural Worlds. And thanks to that helping hand from Procedural Worlds to 3D Dynamite, all of us now finally got Real Ivy back on the store in Real Ivy 2. So it's one of those things that Real Ivy wouldn't have been possibly back on the store at all if not for this partnership. To get it out there, it is a really happy, fantastic story. And I was actually watching it back. I found the video, the raw video, on my hard drive today, so I'm just moving files over, and I honestly, it brought a tear to my eye when I was watching it, because I know how much a lot of this stuff means to the developers. This is an income that people can be getting that is making a huge difference in their lives. And the fact that this partnership was able to come out of it was, incredibly moving to me. And it's sometimes I think about, what the hell am I doing this show and making these videos? Because a lot of you guys don't know, I get a lot of negative emails and stuff that just drags you down and makes you think, why the hell am I doing here? And then every now and again, something happens that really makes everything worthwhile and restores your faith in humankind. And there's a reason why Adam keeps coming back on the stream, and I'm not a fanboy in any sense of the word. I think you all know that I'm very honest in how I speak, and there's a reason why sometimes I get good replies from Unity and sometimes I don't. But when people do a good job and they honestly care about not only their product but the community in which they work in, it's really it's worthwhile to support them, and it's great. It's great when you're back on, buddy. But anyway, let's crack on and have a play about with your lovely thing. Seeing there's no point in me getting my hands on it, because I'm just going to be like a blind man touching it and molding it in the wrong places. But you show us how you wield it correctly.
Okay. Yeah. It's. I mean, we absolutely almost killed ourselves to get Gaia Pro and Gaia 2 out, and it's Gaia 2 is man-years of effort and a huge amount of money, and the first 2 reviews were 1-star reviews, which weren't actually even reviews of the product. They haven't even bothered to download it. They were complaining because we put the price up on Gaia Pro, and I, when you actually bust your ass to create something cool and you give it away because we haven't charged an upgrade on Gaia 2/1/2 ever, and it was pretty soul destroying actually. But anyway, as you say, there are a bunch of really the nice people out there far exceed the others, and when you get stories about, hey, I was going to give up on game development, then I grabbed your product, and I'm making my dream game. Those sorts of that sort of feedback makes all this stuff worthwhile. All right, enough talk. Let's make some stuff. Okay, so we can choose how big we want to make this, and I could make a 200-kilometer set of terrains, 10,000 terrains if I wanted to, but I'm not going to because we don't have all year. And so somebody was saying about memory. One of the difference between Gaia 2 and Gaia Pro is Gaia Pro has the streaming stuff built into it, and what we can do is we can unload the scenes as we create them so that you're not limited by the memory of your machine. So, if we were to try and fit 100 kilometers square or 1,000 or whatever, it would, Unity and Windows would not be able to support it. So what we've done with this, and one of the reasons why it's so difficult to build, is we actually do all this tile by tile by tile by tile. And that means that you're not limited by the memory of your machine when you're creating it. And it's also meaning that you can not be limited by the memory of the machine when people are playing it back. Whereas Gaia 2, if you create a multi-tile terrain, you are limited by the amount of memory of your machine. So there is one of the key differences. But let's just do a big difference, a 2K terrain. We won't do any of this. So we can create, one of the things we've also done, which is, you should check the water in Gaia Pro and Gaia 2. It's beautiful.
Oh, mate, please show the water.
I will show it.
Because Irish John's in chat, and he's actually said, my dream game, Rise of Piracy, that he's making, would not even be close to what it is today without Gaia. I think it's the best tool I've ever used, honestly. It's made it possible to make my game super close to the perfect version I've always wanted. Gaia CTS are absolutely incredible. I haven't used the others yet. And he has tried, I think, every water available that's ever been made for Unity. So he's still looking for the perfect water for his pirate game. So please do show it. Okay, so
so we're not going to. So I'm just going to tell you about create scenes. This is really cool. So this one of the things, because we added streaming to Gaia Pro, and this has flowed through to Gaia 2, we have actually really cleaned up how we create your scenes. So everything is properly parented and childed so that you can just take a terrain and save it as a scene. And then for a streaming perspective, everything's in the right place. You don't have things bleeding across terrains and all that sort of stuff. We've also tidied up where we put the data. So here you've got your session, but then all the data that goes with that session, including the session data itself, the terrain layers, all the terrain data, everything is all stored in a nice, clean space. And that means that from a management perspective, it's better, but also from a streaming and general asset layout perspective, it's much better. So that's pretty cool. Anyway, let's get on with it.
It was like, get your big head out of the way. So I've got my face rig head blocking your beautiful folder structure.
So then we can choose what sort of target are you going after, something very, very small. Notice how we change all these texture sizes, or, something that's a little bit more powerful. And then you can get in and further refine these settings, but you don't need to look at all that stuff. Let's just go desktop. Whoops.
So this is what I liked about ambient skies. I just went preset. Which one do I like? I like this one. Boom, away I go.
Yeah. So, and what we're trying to do underneath the hood, underneath the surface in Gaia 2 and Gaia Pro, there is a lot of stuff going on. And if we exposed every parameter, you just get, you would just fall over, and the eyes would roll in the back of your head, and you'd just put it down and go and do something else instead. You get an instant headache. So what we're trying to do here is reduce cognitive overload. So we hide stuff away unless you want to change it. But we've already chosen really nice defaults.
How many settings have we got in the biomes? How many have we got to choose from?
So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Don't know what that one is. 11 different biomes. So one of the things we did with Gaia Pro is we created a whole lot of really, really beautiful content. And I'll quickly create some of these things so that you can see them. So let's just create our alpine meadow. Now, the next thing we do, again, this is all hidden away and defaulted for you, but if you want to change it, is we have a bunch of things that we can automatically add to your scene. And that's actually button number 2. So create player, skies, water, screenshotter. So if we turn something off, you'll notice the interface updates. Yeah. So this is
it's not too dissimilar to what you had previously, but now it's a little bit smarter.
Yeah, it's a little bit smarter, and it's using all the new systems that we've created. So if you want a different type of camera, a first person or a third person or something like that, you can choose that, and we just automate setting it all up for you. Now, you don't need to use this stuff. You can actually just go none if you don't want us to add that for you, and it won't create it for you. So let's just go with our good old flying camera. What sort of skies do we want? Well, we've got a bunch of preset HDRI skies. We can use the Unity procedural sky, but we've actually created this really, really beautiful sky system and time of day system, so we'll use that.
But if I got ambient skies now, do I use it with Gaia Pro, or do I use Gaia Pro's own skies?
Well, ambient skies is designed to be modular, and much like Gaia Pro, all of this stuff is modular, so you can use it or not. So ambient skies, let's say you're using Enviro, which is a really beautiful cloud and lighting system. You can still leverage all of the automatic depth of field and post-processing profiles and all that stuff with what you get from Enviro, and the same deal with Gaia Pro. So you can use Gaia Pro's time of day system along with ambient skies, post-processing and other lighting setup stuff. It's up to you. We have an update to ambient skies going live. It'll be next week, which supports the latest HDRP and all that sort of stuff and automates all that stuff. You don't need... Sorry, go on.
I'll give some things we don't need. So now I don't need Enviro anymore, and I don't need Aquas anymore, because I could just put all of that with Gaia Pro.
Look, I think that's... We try and give you something that's really powerful and really beautiful. That doesn't mean you need to use every single bit of it, right?
No, I'm not, because I don't want to get down into conversation of not using other publishers' stuff, because at the end of the day, there's a lovely relationship that you all got with each other, beautiful ecosystem. Yeah. But let's be honest, someone's coming to the asset store, his only asset he's now purchased is Gaia Pro, because he ain't cheap. He's bought Gaia Pro. In buying Gaia Pro, he doesn't need to go and buy Aquas. He doesn't need to go and buy Enviro. Whereas previously, if you had Gaia, you did need to go and buy Aquas, and you did need to go and buy Enviro. You didn't have that functionality inside. But are we saying now with Gaia Pro, I only need to buy one asset on the store if I haven't bought anything else?
That's right, and it'll do 98% of what you need. So it'll stream your scenes. It's got an audio system and a simple extensible audio system. It's got visual effects like pollens and all that stuff that are just automatically spawned into your system. It's got a beautiful time of day lighting system. It's got a beautiful water system. I think I mentioned streaming and large world support. What else has it got? It's got over 100 different prefabs of photogrammetry enhanced trees and textures and rocks. It's got a really beautiful shader system, which work across the different pipelines. HDRP, even now, we're not 100% happy with that. There are things that Unity haven't exposed, which we need to get the best out of our water. So, that's as Unity expand on the HDRP, we'll expand on our support for it. But all of this stuff is just built in. You actually don't need to buy other stuff to get beautiful environments and beautiful lighting and all that. So how about I show it, because we've just been talking all that time. Probably
this is the longest foreplay we've ever had, I have to say.
All right, now we can use our world designer, and I will show that later, but let's just get some instant satisfaction here. So how fast can you build a random beautiful terrain with everything on it? Well, let's do that.
That was what I loved about Gaia 1. Gaia 1, it was push the magic button.
Yeah, well, we'll demonstrate push the magic button first, or a second. So I'll just pop Gaia out of the road. And here we have the new stamp browser and the new stamper in Gaia Pro. I actually want to simplify this a bit more, but we wanted to also get the software out, so we didn't need to simplify it. And what we've got in our stamp browser is you can choose the different type of stamps. So I could go hills, and I could just sit through the different hills. You can see them previewed in real time inside of Unity here. And all of this stuff's in Gaia 2 as well. So let's go valleys, because I quite like this valley. We'll go apply, and then I'll lift this up. All the sort of stuff that you're used to in Gaia 1, which is scaling and rotating and all that stuff, still works. But here's a really cool thing. So I'm now going to just hit stamp. Now, the interesting thing is, because I chose the Alpine Meadow biome, in one click, we can not only stamp and all that sort of stuff, but we can also do all the different spawns. You can disable them if you want to, or you can enable them. So you don't need to actually spawn all this stuff, but just for the sake of doing something really fast, let's just do it, eh? So this is 2 kilometers. Bang, that's texturing done. Now we're running 62 different rules to add trees and grasses and visual effects and sound.
What spec's your PC?
It's actually a very powerful one. I finally got myself a powerful computer.
And
it was really interesting. It's an 8-core with 16 threads. It's got an RTX 2080 in it. It's a really, really beautiful machine.
Nice.
The speed of these, well, I had a bit of a potato before this. The speed of these things is really dependent on what you're doing in your spawner. So put as much of it.
Am I able to still use my potato to do this?
Absolutely. It'll just take a little bit longer, but not a lot longer, because a lot of this stuff is done on the GPU. Okay, we've now created our environment, so it's 2Ks. The next step, remember I said this is what's going to be added. Let's actually add that. Bang, bang, yes, done. All right, so let's press play.
Hang on a minute, that was quick.
Yeah. And let's see what we've created.
Now, while you're clicking play and seeing what we've created, have you ever been tempted to do what World Creator did and basically just take Unity and build Gaia as a third-party tool that basically lives in a build of Unity that you can then not need to be inside the editor to use it?
Well, yes, but in a different way, and that's probably
for another discussion
for another day. Yeah. We're actually quite well advanced in some really interesting stuff. So yeah, there's one example of a biome that was created very, very quickly. Some beautiful 3D Forge buildings there. It's starting to get.
Yeah, and they're still included in Gaia Pro because you're still bundled in.
Yeah,
everything you've done now is not been added extra. Everything you've got now showing in is bundled as part of Gaia Pro, correct? You haven't added.
Yeah. There's nothing else extra. So you can see. Let's actually go and show some. Actually, I'm going to show that with some trees. I just like this biome. It's nice and flat and large, and it's beautiful. So let's quickly show you some other biomes just to give you a sense of the variation that you can get. And let's choose the colorful forest this time and create our tools and go yada yada.
And stick the stats shenanigan thing on.
All right. But it really does depend on the scene. So there we go. And let's go back to our scene view and let's choose. We choose.
You know, it's never going to be easy when you come on the stream, mate. You're not gonna get an easy ride.
Yeah. All right. Fair enough.
I know where Adam lives, so you cannot remove them. when you signed up to do this lovely arrangement with FreeForge, where he gave you some of his buildings to put in Gaia, did you realise that it would be for perpetuity? You'd never be able to ever be without them.
Yeah, no, I didn't realize that. And Cobus is a great friend of mine, so you know they're in it. They're in forever. You know, he's played such a massive role in my experience of the asset store. We'll be promoting his stuff forever.
Or he's go for you.
or he's gonna come and visit us.
Exactly.
All right, so we've created
South
a mouse
African mates. That, I mean,
created a mouse.
This is,
Yeah,
so what you're saying, it'll be a little bit longer on my potato, but generally you're not restricted in that, oh, because I've got a potato, I can only now spawn half as many trees or half the size of a terrain. It's just going to take a little bit longer.
Yeah, exactly. And also from a perspective of, you know, what's going on with, well, you still have to have enough memory to run the one terrain, but multiple terrains, it'll really depend. Now, this is not running at what it says it is, so I don't know what's going on here. There we go, 64. So it's a different biome.
Have you turned off all that resync nonsense?
Yes, I have. So it's actually a very heavy biome, but it's pretty. So we've got lots of things going on in here, like you can see the birds flying around and some beautiful pollens, and this surround system.
Stop moving so fast. We're on Skype. You're forgetting. It's like
sorry.
It's like watching a slideshow at times of Skype.
Yeah.
I'm like, I want to see the birds, man. I want to see the birds. This is just a click of a button, and now we've immediately got make my beautiful terrain again. Are we able to keep using the stamps that we've previously got with Gaia 1? Because they're just stamps at the end of the day.
Here we go. Let's speed up our time of day. Look at our beautiful.
Look at that.
It's just, whoops, there goes the moon. Which way is it going? I'll do that. I'll do it slower.
Yeah, I was about to say, you're making me want to come over there and slap you, aren't you? Really? Because
here we go. There goes the sun. I just love the lighting that we've created here. And I'll slow this down. Actually, the moon will be over this side now. So watch this moonrise. I just love it.
Sanya keeps on, because Sanya, you missed the start of the stream where he's asking about Sector and streaming in Gaia Pro. How good does it fit together? Sector's getting a little patch update coming soon, you said?
Yeah.
But generally, one doesn't need the other, but they do work together.
Yeah, all of our stuff is designed to work together. So,
the stars twinkle, but we can't see it.
Yeah. Somebody asked about Oro 2. We don't care, right? It's just whatever you want to put in. We try and make our stuff work like normal Unity. So if you've got another asset that you like, we're not judgmental about having it. All of this stuff is optional. Let me go see the sea.
There was we had Jason Booth on the other day about talking about Microsplat, and he was saying that people are asking, does it work with Gaia? And I said, well, of course, because Gaia is just Unity terrain. It's not like it's Unity terrain. You can say, does it integrate with X, Y, Z? It's Unity. If it works with Unity, it works with Gaia. There is no magic integration that you need to do to get it to work. It's the good thing about with Gaia Pro is that all of this extra magic and that you're doing, and your one-click shot just removes all of the headache that you previously would have been doing yourself. I mean, I can't even imagine doing this manually by hand. I would be a mad fool. But look at this magic button.
Check our new water.
Oh, Irish, are you watching, mate? Now, what's the performance of your water?
The performance is very, very good. You can see you're even doing the refraction and all that sort of stuff. Let's go and actually change it, eh? So in a global.
Is there underwater camera shenanigans?
Yeah, I'll show you in a second. So let's go blue. Ooh, there we go, look at that. Or standard lake, or clear lake. You can get in and change all these settings as well to create the setting and the look that you want. And somebody asked about going underwater. So here we go. Now,
hold your breath.
It's not perfect on the transition. So
Yeah.
I'm
always
trying to get...
got issues with the transition. I made my own, and we've had aquas on, and everyone's got problems with the transition.
It's actually a hard problem to solve. But we've done this.
When you're doing that in real life, it's hard as well because you're having your eyeballs with the water going up past your eyeball.
Yeah.
So my solution to the transition is actually tidally blocking out the light, the fuzzing everything over while it does the transition. It was a hack.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't see it. You'd be blinded by it anyway.
Yeah. So use some artful, fakery. But it's okay underwater. There's a certain spot as you transition where you can see that there's something not 100%, but on top of the water, it's also pretty damn nice as well. Check that out. I just love it.
That is beautiful with the light just bouncing off it. Question, is it really flat like aquas or is it configurable for waves?
It does have waves, but it's not trying to be an ocean. We focused on performance over trying to be something that does every single permutation and combination. So all of these settings are actually configurable. And if I change my weather, it should be, there we go, it's responding to the wind direction.
What if you got rain and rain's like hitting on the water? Is it going to make it?
No, we don't have particles on the water yet. No.
But would it increase the speed of the waves from the ferocity?
Yes, it should, although I haven't tested it, so I can't tell you how good that is. But let's get some rain. Let's get some weather going.
Let's get some weather. While we do to get the weather going, because you can multitask, you can do two things at once. Just one last question on the water. Is the water also inside the terrain?
Yes, it is. It's just the plane.
Oh, I've lost you. Hello?
Are you there?
There you go. No, I could. Yeah, you just went really quiet.
Yeah, so it's just a plane which has got a water shader on it. We've got weather built into the system as well. So let's get some rain going.
You got snow?
We got snow. Let's see some snow. Don't know how well you can see that.
I can see like I can see a little bit. That was a bird.
Yeah.
There we go, little white thing.
There's a bunch of snow falling down.
Oh, I can see. I can see. I love Skype. I mean, this is wonderful.
We also have. So I'll stop my snow. We also have the ability, and I don't know how well you'll see it in this scene, seasons. So it's very subtle, but basically the colors of the trees, we're actually tinting them slightly to go with the seasons.
Oh, are they going to go brown?
Yeah, it's a configurable thing. So now we're getting some rain.
There we go. Oh, that's a heavy rain. The kids aren't allowed out in that, not even if they got their coat on.
Yeah.
Question about rain. If you have it rain, does the water flow to the river?
No.
That's
no, there's not a water down the hill system or anything like that. Yeah, these sorts of things. If you think about that, first of all, to build it is incredibly hard, but then the performance overhead of these things is insane. What did I want to show you? Anyway, so yeah, weather, time of day, which is really quite lovely. And lots of biomes. So that's right, I can show you some different things. How about I show you, yeah, that's right, it will make your performance go rather nuts.
So what prompted you to want to put everything in the kitchen sink into Gaia Pro?
Well, as I mentioned, we have the challenge is that the asset store doesn't actually pay our bills. We've got a team of 14 people now, and the unfortunate reality is that most month we lose money. So my hope for this sale is I'll actually break even for the month, which is gives you a sense of how crazy it is at the moment. We are building tools that are now targeted at enterprise and business. So we've got our indie sort of stuff where we support the indies, and we're bringing a bunch of the smart stuff we're doing into our indie products like we have with Gaia 2. But we're now actually building things that are targeted at people trying to solve interesting and difficult problems, and that have budgets, right? So, we've some of our corporate customers, we're under NDA, but we're working with one of the top 20 pro studios, and everybody would know who this is if I said the name. We've been working with one of the top car companies. We built a real-time VR-based entertainment system for them. And where we're going is to take all these tools and then layer on top of them. So our geospatial product is designed to bring the real world into Unity. And then our streaming product is designed to make this run in HD and very high frame rates. And we solve some problems like, it was fascinating for me getting this really high-end computer system, and I was really disappointed with the performance. I thought, I was running on my old GDX card, and I've got this RTX, and I'm going, right, I expect 1,000% more frame rate, and I didn't get it. And you actually have to fundamentally change how you render in order to get high frame rates. So Unity doesn't do it by default, and actually to build it is very, very difficult. So that's why we're working on Storm. And Storm does some pretty cool things. So we don't need to use Unity's streaming system. We build our own, and it's way more efficient. It's essentially instant start. It's got, not only has it got streaming from disk, but we're building in streaming from the network. So, for example, I played the latest Call of Duty or something or other, 87 gigabyte download, which took over a day to get. And I played it for 15 minutes because I'm curious about how they did the game from a professional perspective, but first-person shooters aren't really my thing. So 87 gigabytes to download something which I used for, let's say, half an hour. And, I will go back at some point and play a bit more, just to see how the game is. But that's insane. So what Storm also does is it just downloads the stuff you need and streams it, and then streams it in on demand. So the frame rate improvement is massive. That means you can increase your addressable market. That's worth real money, and a lot of money, to the big studios and pros.
So does that mean you're going to stop doing the indie stuff when you go down?
No, it doesn't mean we're going to stop doing the indie stuff at all. Indies are getting the benefit of the fact that we're now working with the pros as well. Because, as I mentioned, you got a sense of how expensive Gaia 2 and Gaia Pro was to bring to the indie store. I couldn't afford to do that just on what we make out of the indie market. So the benefit of us expanding the way we do things and changing the way we do things is that we're starting to bring all of this stuff that was actually paid for by enterprise into the indie market. So it's a pretty cool benefit. So yeah, Storm, it's, we've got some really interesting discussions going on with that, and that it streams stuff, which means that the big companies, like, instead of delivering 87 gigs of content, they probably could have done the same thing in a couple of gigs, and then could have streamed the rest of the game in as I played it. There's a massive business benefit there because it costs a lot of money to stream 87 gigs of data. So there are all these sort of businessy, Gaia Geospatial, again, business and studios doing really interesting and large games will be interested in the sorts of capability, GIS type capability that we bring into Unity, because it doesn't exist, not really. What else are we doing? We got some really interesting MMO stuff that's
Oh, you get a lot of people
yeah, I
excited to
can say that, do I?
say those three letters.
No, yeah, don't say that. Now, and what we're not trying to be is an MMO, and we're not trying to be a networking tech. What we're doing is we're just much the same way as we automate and make stuff, a whole bunch of complex stuff simple. We're putting layers on top, but we're looking at that not from a gaming perspective at all. And actually, that's a really good segue into let's go and have a look at Snap Builder.
I was thinking,
Because
how are we going to lead into Snap Builder? And he's done it so
yeah,
professionally.
so let's go.
It's almost like he rehearsed it.
No, it was actually just lucky. So where are we? Camera. So some other things, like here we've got our global settings. You can change all this look. Our lighting, or is it our audio system? You can control all your audio from here as well. I'll get to Snap Builder in a sec. Your weather system, you can go in and configure all the weather and how everything works here. A water system is actually controllable up at this level. You can go and edit your water profiles and change all your settings. Everything's profile driven, so as you change it, it changes in the scene. These same things are in Gaia 2 as well. The same set of shaders that we created for Gaia Pro are in Gaia 2, so you get all the benefit of this additional stuff that we've done. But yeah, so the reason I was doing this is I just wanted to find where my camera was, and
there it is.
Let's go over here. So here we are in this area. Just for the heck of it, what we'll do is we'll create another biome, and I'll create a little bit more space in this one.
You didn't even save that scene. You mad?
I know.
Oh, it took you all about 5 seconds to build it.
Yeah, it's rather cool, isn't it? So let's try our deciduous forest. So obviously there's a whole bunch of these things, and they're all leveraging different assets that we've created. So let's quickly create this. I'll put some background music on for you.
That's why I just love listening to you sing. It's really interesting seeing you do this because it's what we said earlier about how there is a relationship on the asset store, and Kubis put it really perfectly the other day when he was on the stream, saying how the marketplace, there's enough room in the marketplace for everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone doesn't need to hate each other and be like a fierce competitor. And obviously Procedural Worlds and Nature Manufacture got a long relationship and history together, like you're saying about CTS, and pretty much every pack you've ever seen with Gaia, it seems to go hand in hand with Nature Manufacture stuff. And this seems to be the first time where you've actually got all your own art in nature art natively in a Gaia pack.
Yeah, and we sort of have this, maybe we're a bit crazy, but I want to surprise and delight people. I want to help them to create amazing things and not to have to buy 20 different packs. So yes, you can do all that, but right out of the box, we've got you covered. So let's just go and create this little place here.
Magic. Oh, 3D Forge is going to bed. It's 1 o'clock in the morning for him. Good night, everyone. Shout out to Messi. Oh, thank you, buddy. Mate, have a good night's sleep. Right, bro. Keep yourself safe.
One of the big things that's changed.
Rules.
Yeah, this is quite a big biome, this one.
Okay.
It's got a lot of stuff in it.
Jumped in interrupting you. So you said some of the things have changed?
One of the big things that's changed in Gaia 2/Pro over Gaia 1 is everything, all the previews, all that sort of stuff is real time. And we think it's way more intuitive to use, and it's super, super powerful. So creating new biomes. So let's say you've got another pack, so a Nature Manufacture pack, for example, or Cobus's stuff. It's really, really easy in the new Gaia Pro and in Gaia 2, because it's the same underlying system, to create a biome, which is really just like a set of matched spawners that describe a certain environment. So yeah, the beauty of that is you can easily add new stuff. So yeah, coming back to, I'm a big believer in there's enough room on the store for everybody. There's no I'm often amazed in a really negative way, I think, at some of the absolute rubbish that goes on, because there's no actual need for it at all. Some people, I just think, Jesus, get a life. But unfortunately, there are some people that, think this is like all there is to life. So here we go. I've just created another environment. Let's just play this. And I'm going to actually get Snap Builder going in this environment. Just wait for Unity to start. Okay, we landed in a fairly boring spot, but there's a nice little valley over here. And I know you can't see that.
We've got a rock.
Yeah, we've got a rock. We've actually got lots of rocks, but depending on the spawner rule set, this is actually one of the challenges we had as well. You want to maintain performance, but you also want to have something rich and interesting. And how do you do that? So that's always a challenge. Let's go down to here.
And you solve it by putting one rock in the scene. I like it. Well done.
Yeah, that's right. But we actually have lots of rocks in the prefabs and all the stuff that we supply with Gaia Pro. So let's.
So what you did? Are we in which window pipeline are we in?
We are just in built-in. I'm not going to muck around with pipelines in the middle of a stream, just purely because it's easier not to.
Well, I have to be honest. So, I still only ever use the built-in. I don't even touch anything.
Well,
else.
built-in just sort of works, and that's the beauty of built-in. And actually, all the demos you saw on our page, they were done with built-in. So
really?
You can do beautiful things. Yeah.
You got some great comments. I'm going to buy Gaia Pro just for that rock.
Wow, that's fantastic.
It's one rock.
So let's just let's have a look at our game view here and maybe rotate around. Oh, look, there's 3D Forger stuff on the side of a hill. But this is actually probably a really good opportunity. No, let's go that way. It's not a very interesting first,
I love how this just proves the point that when it's spawning stuff in Gaia Pro, even if it's on the side of a hill, it will still spawn properly.
Yes.
To be fair, all those animals would be rolling down when they're in there, but I like it.
All right, so let's go and check out Snap Builder. So we go Window, Procedural Worlds, Snap Builder, Snap Builder. Now, what we do with our assets, all of our assets sort of conform to the same thing. So whether it's Gaia or Ambient Skies or whatever, all of our assets are self-documenting. So you can click in and find out how to use the assets. And we use a common system for our interfaces, so we can localize them if there's actually a market need. We had some people from China. Yeah, it's all built into the framework. We had some people from China who approached us and said, hey, we want to sell your stuff here. So we spent 3 months building a nice localization system and user experience framework. And then we never heard from them again. So that was a bit disappointing.
I'll give you about 1,000 stories like that, mate. While you're doing that, there's a question. Any chance of having or creating an underground cave generation system? So could Gaia be doing underground?
Gaia is designed for above ground, but I'm just thinking it's not really on our radar at the moment. But what I'm demonstrating to you right now could be, you could do with the right assets. You could actually give people the tools to make them in your games, or even as a level designer. So here we've got our snap builder, and we've got a palette store. And in palette store, let's have a look at our setup here. These are the control systems that you can set up for snap builder. And whether we're targeting the mouse, we're targeting layers, whether we're running, Snap Builder can run in the editor and at runtime. So if you're doing a game like crafting or survival or whatever, this has got you covered. We wanted to do this in the game that we're making, so we tried the stuff in the asset store and we sort of didn't like it, so we built it ourselves. So you can do runtime and editor, or runtime only, or editor only.
Are you going to show me the runtime stuff as well in what you're showing us now? Because you just
Yes, I am.
You've just got me so excited. I'm actually physically on the edge of my seat.
Oh man, this is so cool! I've been waiting to do this.
This better not suck, Adam. This better not suck. You've got me.
It better not suck.
It better not suck. You've got me so excited right now.
I will prefix this with this pre-release, and I've already sent 2 messages back to Manny for little changes, but it's very, very close. Like, we plan to have this into the asset store by early to mid next week at the latest. So we can choose how we target things to place them. We can choose what sort of control system. So we can build with control left mouse click, or we could do via an API. So again, the concept here is, if you've already got a nice your own inventory system and all that sort of stuff, you can use it, right? You can call all this stuff via API. It was built to be integrated into your game in whatever way you like, or you can just let Snap Builder do all the work. So control left mouse to place, control right mouse to destroy, select with control alt and mouse wheel, rotate with control and mouse wheel, position it with control and key click, page up, page down to lift it up and down, or to change its rotation. So let's give this a crack, eh?
Do it, man. Show me
hang on,
windows.
Actually, I'll just bullshit it more before I bloody show you. So here's our palette. So we allow you a bunch of configuration and capability on top of this. You'll notice that there's a little gravity button there.
Yeah.
And this is a feature that was working and is now working a bit, and it'll be working beautifully before we release it. But this gravity placement concept will work in edit mode and runtime. And it's awesome because it means you can place stuff and have it fall over, which is actually hugely satisfying to do.
You're showing now, I can see how you've evolved, because what you're showing us now are flavors of when Gina came out, and it was let's spawn stuff, click play, let it fall naturally in the environment.
Yeah.
I can see the evolution that got us to where we are now, and where you basically, as you said, you looked on the store and weren't happy, and then there must have been a light bulb moment, and where it was like, we've actually already been here, lads. Let's.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Man. Come on, do it, do it.
All right.
Click it.
I have to create. Look, Gaia test. Oh, does that support spaces? Let's check. All right, so there's our block store. So a palette store is the palette of things that you can place into your scene, and you can set up custom parameters on them if you want. You can add them just by dropping them in here, and I'll demonstrate this. And then the block store is actually how we serialize this stuff, because we want this to run at runtime as easily as at design time. So how about I just do some stuff, eh? So let's just go to build with was control and left mouse click. So let's go control left. Oh, look at that. So what you can see is I'm placing stuff into my scene, and I'll just zoom in a bit. So I'm doing this in design time. And I haven't chosen a very good spot because it's a bit of concave area. So let's go maybe over here and place that.
I've got weird feelings, because you said earlier about Gina Pro it's going to start carving into the terrain as well. I mean, there's loads of assets now that do that, like placing stuff down, and they will carve the terrain to conform to what you're doing. But I got a feeling. Oh, we're flying in the air. I got a feeling you're going to be doing that with this, aren't
you? Yeah, probably. What was happening there, it was actually bouncing off the collider around the house. So we'll just move it back over here and get no control. Now, you can see I'm actually just, adding stuff here. It's all nice and easy to do. Let's do this at runtime. Dun, dun, dun. And then, the silent prep. Work, please work.
Like, he's stalling. Better not suck. So what made you? What weren't you happy? Obviously we're not naming any names. What weren't you happy with the ones that you tested on the store that prompted you to make this? Which wasn't, because obviously you own the IP of this, and therefore there is a monetary value to what you're doing. But obviously at the same time, the argument is you're reinventing something that already exists. So what problem have you solved with snap building that isn't already there?
Well, it works, and it's easy to use. I looked at a bunch of assets, and I bought one that I thought looked really amazing. And in their video, they show all this really sophisticated stuff and go, yeah, cool. And then their demo scene, they show you just placing like stuff like, they just show you placing, oops, get rid of that one, stuff on the ground, sort of like what I'm doing, right? And it didn't, I wanted to not just place stuff on the ground, I wanted to build walls and then ceilings and all that sort of stuff. And it just didn't allow me to do that. And the demo scene that they had didn't have this feature, which is one of the key features that I wanted. So I just went, well, screw this, I'm going to do it myself. So I've just created a little thing in game, and I'm going to just unload and then load it again, because actually there's a little bug, it's not serializing it. But at the moment, I've only got one thing in my palette store. So let's add some more stuff.
While you're adding that stuff, I mean, we've seen before with Gina and with Veg Studio, when you're placing stuff down, you're able to say, okay, hang on, you're placing stuff down on the ground, therefore the terrain should now change. Like the texture, the grass should be removed. Any plants that are there should automatically disappear because you're placing an object down if you've ticked the box for it to do so. Are we going to have something like that? So if you're putting down something, you can have a tick box that says remove any grass or plant obstacles that may be underneath me?
Yeah, absolutely. We don't have it yet, but we probably won't have it for launch, but we still think it's very useful as it is. And we absolutely will add that, because I think it's sort of without, like, that's really annoying, right? So
exactly, yeah.
It should, yeah. All right, so I've added some more stuff to my palette store. Let's go back in game and play with it.
Jolin said, he said, Adam, I said the same thing when I started my town builder project. And I think if anyone remembers when I did the ultimate survival tutorial where it had its own Rust-like building placement builder, like you can put walls down and build your house. I then did an integration with the easy build system at the time, which is expanded along, but I had to make my own version of it because out of the box, you rarely find something out of the box from that somebody else has made that meets your requirements. It rarely happens. So you always have to add your own flavor. And to be honest, you're probably still going to need to do that with the stat builder. Add your own flavor to it. You just rocked my world when you had that drop down and it had API listed in there. And the fact that you already know that your clients, your customers are going to need to be able to customize this.
Yeah, and actually, I just found another bug that shouldn't be.
That's right. That's what you key. That's what you come on the stream for, mate. To find bugs. I'm not. I don't even need to be the one clicking the button for you to find bugs when you're with me. That's how powerful my QA skills are.
Actually, no, that should be working.
Can things programmatically be added to the list?
Yes. Absolutely. It's designed to be as equally usable as programmatically as it is. What actually should be happening is that should be sitting up above these blocks, and it's actually not, because there is a bug, the collider, which we're using to snap stuff. Because the original object doesn't have a collider, it's not been added. But we have, we will fix that.
So what is the logic of the snapping? Because like if you look at Uconstruct, EBS, and even how they were doing it in Ultimate Survival, for each one of those objects, you're needing to locate like the corners, all of the snapping points, and manually set them to for each one.
Yeah, there's it's just trying to find. Here we go. So notice we actually see there's some little visualization of the snap points.
Yeah.
And you can see depending on the object, it's creating these automatic snap points for them.
That's the key word. You said automatic snap points.
Yeah. So it basically calculates this stuff. So you can see it's calculating it. Well, you don't know that, but yeah, it is calculating that stuff automatically. And then on top of that, there are various sort of fine-tuning modes, and there are some. Let's go back to our time of day.
Oh, it's night time. We just
I do love
just showing the sexy night now. We've got a question. I see you adding prefabs. Can you drag out a window to view all assets you added to Snap Builder for easier choice when placing?
Not at the moment, but yeah, we're looking at that too. Like the concept of different types of palettes, like blocks, rocks, all that sort of stuff. We want to add that because we think it's just cool. Set the time of day back to something so we can actually see what we're doing.
There we go. Yolan's got exactly the same problem that I had. It says automatic snapping is the other reason I stopped working with EBS. I've been working on a system that learns snap points from demo scenes. I'm way too lazy to manually set up snaps. And this is what's getting me excited about this, is manually setting them up. I mean, if you need to tweak it, fine. But like you said, with Snap Builder, you can automatically and then do some manual tweaking.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a mode which I don't know off the top of my head what the key thing is, but it allows you to do a very fine-grained snap. But I just don't know what it is off the top of my head. So yeah, what you're seeing here is bugs, but when these bugs are fixed, and they're actually, it's just a specific thing, so it's not a big fix, it's just a very trivial thing. But yeah, the idea is wherever you hover, it'll then boom, snap you out there.
Well, to be fair, even with your bugs, it's still performing better than Fallout 4 did when it came out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very excited. I think this is actually really cool fun doing this sort of stuff.
So will this support triangle floor pieces? There's no other asset in the store supports triangles. They only support squares.
Yeah, we've got this idea which we're thinking about, launching actually before. Man, that's so frustrating. Because these are missing the colliders, which we want to. So as soon as I snap that, go to snap it, it's actually. It's a conflict.
I'm so proud of myself
anyway,
that we've managed to break it.
It's operator error, I think. But anyway, so the question, triangles. Yeah, so at the moment, if I can work out what control key to press to show the visualization, which I can't. Here we go, Control Shift. Doesn't say Control Shift anywhere in here, so we've got to fix that. So you can see the snaps that we've automatically calculated.
The Skype, let me just turn off the Skype window and show it again. Maybe that's... No, something weird going on with the Skype's all pixelated.
Oh. Shall I stop sharing?
Yeah, stop sharing and start sharing again. We'll see if that fixes it.
Okay. Thing 5.
Dun dun dun. Not only did we manage to bug out SnapBuilder, we managed to bug out the Skype itself. The power of this channel never ceases to amaze me. Yeah, we're back in with the sexiness. There we are.
Oh, I tried sharing again.
I can see you.
Okay, you can see me.
I can see this. I can see your Unity.
Oh, you can see. Okay, cool. Yeah, so we're back again.
Crisp and looking beautiful.
Yep, so yeah, what was it? Shift out or Control out? No, Control Shift. Here we go. So here you can see the visualization of the volume. We've got this idea where we shrink them programmatically to actually be a really close match to the object. And then the other thing we want to do is have a control key where you can vertex snap as well. So basically you can be really fine grained.
So it's actually along the mesh rather than like a box collider kind of thing.
Oh, there we go. You know what it is? It's operator error. It's me.
What?
So
you had the feature on.
I wasn't pressing the right keys.
There you go.
That's an opportunity for us to improve our user experience, I would say. So yeah, when we get this additional feature that I want to build into it, then we'll be able to actually snap to really odd shaped things. But yeah, you can see it's pretty easy to add stuff. Already all the API and all that sort of stuff. We're actually testing the API by building the UX around it.
And when are we going to play with this?
In the next few days, hopefully, as soon as I'm happy with the quality of it.
Wow.
So the last part of the releases are always, you know, it's where a lot of extra work gets done, where you fix up all the glitches.
How's it working? Like you said, we had a little serialization glitch earlier. How are you doing with having this in some kind of networked multiplayer game?
Well, funny you should ask, because I did mention we're doing some cool stuff with networking.
You did?
We are, one of the next phases of its development will be to make this networked enabled. And we've been, the framework we've been using for networking is Mirror. So,
I was going to ask you what flavor are you enjoying? Are you a dark rift? Are you a pun, or are you a mirror man?
Well, my perspective is I don't really care. It's just about having the right tools. Like it's about having something that works. Most of our customers probably don't care unless you've already invested into a particular flavor. So again, you know, it's like trying to support all the SRPs. We'll start with one and then we'll gradually improve over time.
Oh, can I ask you a favor?
You can ask.
Now there's a lovely asset that I picked up on a sale a long time ago, and I think it's currently in the sale now. It's Dissonance. If you want to give an exclamation mark voice in chat, do an exclamation mark voice in chat for Dissonance. And their process was, okay, you can get Dissonance, and there's a free asset on the store as a plugin to Dissonance for each networking as they roll it out. So they go, okay, get Dissonance, and then if you want the pun photon 2 or pun 1, you can get that as and that's if you want mirrored, you can get the mirror add-on. if you want T3, if you want Dark Rift, if you want whatever, but they've done them separately, so you don't have to have it all chucked into one. So your raw snap builder, if you wanted to have a particular, like you said, your particular flavor, then you just need to download that one, that add-on, which would be like a free download or whatever on the asset store for it. So rather than shove them all in the big bucket, let people choose the one they want without having to input, also get all the rest of the bloat in the asset.
Yeah.
But don't just stick to, like, the main ones, like, because I know there's a lot of extra effort, but there's just too much that is just restricted. People are either doing mirror or they do photon, and then you don't really see enough people mixing, being able to support either.
Yeah.
You got people excited that you're doing mirror first, though.
Yeah, it's from what we've seen, we've used it on, paid pro projects, and it works really well. But I just love this. To me, this is fun. Like, actually just creating cool stuff. And one of the cool things about this also is I can snap it to this. So here we're actually, we're snapping to the terrain. But if I go here, it's actually snapping it to that object instead.
What was the key that you need to push that you were doing incorrectly before? What's the correct way of doing it?
It was Alt Shift or let's have a look. No, not Shift. Control Shift. That was the one I needed to do. So I look at that and go, okay, Control Shift is not actually here in the UX, so we need to actually expose what that funny hotkey is, because here I was trying to show you and look it up, and I was having problems because we hadn't actually exposed it.
People in chat saying they want this now, man. People in chat saying they want this now. Don't say the Minecraft word. My kids, I got a 5-year-old and a 6-year-old who are constantly on Minecraft, to the extent that I was playing Green Hell with my wife, which is made in Unity. Everyone, Green Hell on the Steam store right now. It's on sale. And my kids are, they've never played the game before. He's like, Daddy, you need to get mud and charcoal and water if you want to make the concrete for your building, the mud for your building. I'm like, son, you've never played this game before. And he goes, yeah, but that's what you'll need. I'm like, right. A 5-year-old understands this better than I do, and I'm like trying to get them now into Unity, and they'll be making the games in the next game jam. I'm telling you this now.
Yeah.
All because of that bloody Minecraft game.
Yeah, we wanted to make something more sophisticated than Minecraft, but allowed you to create your own environments. And if you look at it, games, like, there's the game, that's part of the content, that's what people actually play, but people are content too. And actually, most of us would rather play a multiplayer game with a friend than the game by itself. So when you go, well, if people are content, then allowing people to modify or personalize the environment, then that's also a very powerful thing. So that's by creating a tool like Snap Builder, not only are we making it easier for you to do all the level design for your levels, because, hence the design time editing here, you're also allowing people to customize those environments at runtime. So I think it's actually rather cool.
Have you got the runtime, like the preview blueprinty view working straight out of the box, or are you going to have to just tweak that ourselves?
You'll have to do that yourself. The design sort of approach here wasn't necessarily to create that blueprinty thing. Actually, no, I see what you're saying. You're talking about like putting like a semi-transparent version of it there.
Well, you got like the semi-transparent version, but you can also place down the semi-transparent version and then add to it in runtime. So like you put down the semi-transparent version of the floor, and then you go, okay, add components to it in runtime, and then it will replace that semi-transparent thing with the full version or the granular build of it.
It's sort of like in the forest where, you know, it gives you a blueprint look, and then you just click and it magically puts stuff there.
Yeah. So you pick up a piece of wood and you add it to the frame, and then it slowly builds up.
Yeah, not yet. It's something that now that we've got the core engine working, it would be fairly easy to support. And
because I had to do that myself in an ultimate survival tutorial I did a couple of years ago, and while it was easy enough to do, I'm really too lazy now. I'm getting old in life to do it, and I want to click the magic button.
Yep. Yeah. One of the challenges with creating assets is we're normal people too, right? So we want to add the kitchen sink into these things, and we have to pay our staff, and we have to ship software, others we don't get paid. So it's always a balance between getting stuff out there and then building your ultimate system. Or the way I used to talk to my architects when I used to run a digital agency, what the customer wants is a Corolla. Well, actually, the customer wants a Ferrari, but they want to pay for a Corolla. And the difference between a Ferrari and a Corolla is that both of them get you from between point A and point B. So they both move people, but the Ferrari looks great and makes you feel good, but it's the same basic thing underneath. And so from a pricing perspective, we need to balance how much effort goes into building assets and how much cost against what people are prepared to pay, against what we want for the future and what our customers want for the future. And we all want the Ferrari or the Lamborghini or whatever your favorite flavor of car is. But like we could add this, we could add that, we could add every single networking system under the sun. But we're going to start and we're going to test the market, and then we'll develop it over time.
Scope creep is one of the most dangerous things ever in the world of development. It is an evil beast, and one that needs to be beaten with a stick when it rears its ugly head. And there's nothing worse than, I basically set you up on that one. It's nothing worse for scope creep than people saying, I want to buy an asset that does everything that I want, but I'm one customer. Why should that one asset do everything that I want when that's not what 5,000 other people want? And that's why, and it was a loaded question, I do apologize, but you went through it beautifully with your answer. That's what your API exposure does. It basically was like, you want something, I'm going to give you 80% of what you want, but I'm going to give you the ability for you to do that 20% yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's like, the user interface I exposed in this, which was really not much of a user interface at all. It was just really responding to mouse and key clicks, was soft coded, but could be API controlled. And the way you might choose to do that in a game is different again. And then there's the thing, like I was saying to Manny yesterday, oh, Manny, wouldn't it be cool if we could play an animation when you spawn something? And then, wouldn't it be cool if we could do this? And he's going, dude, I'll write it down on the list. Get away. I just want to get this stuff done. And so, I'm my own worst enemy with scope creep. Here's the other thing about scope creep. Every time you add a new feature, somehow you need to build a user interface around it. Yeah. And that user interface can end up becoming really complex really quickly. So if we go, Procedural World, Gaia, show Gaia Manager. If I showed you all of this stuff, like if we open it all up and put it all down and keep opening it all up, if that was the first thing you saw, so just close that out of the road, your eyes would roll back in the head. You'd go, what the hell is all this stuff that I now need to learn? And this is actually simplified after lots and lots of iteration and lots of thought. But we actually hide all that complexity and we take it out of your space, so you don't even have to think about it. But it's there if you want it. So every time you add a new feature, let's add wouldn't it be great to add weather? Yeah, weather's a great idea. So let's go back to Gaia weather. All right. So what's involved in weather? Well, hang on. There's how long does it take us to transition between the different aspects of your weather, your different, snow, rain, all that sort of stuff. Do we want to allow clouds, fog, post-processing, skybox, sun, wind? Oh, okay, what does all that mean? Okay, what about wind? Where's our wind zone? So as you start to dig into this, what are our ground particles doing? It becomes hideous. Look at all these curves, right? The average person, I would look at that and go, yeah, okay, I'll just shut that one up, shall I? For those people that want to get into it, it's there for you. But adding what seems like such a simple thing opens up layers and layers of complexity that most people just don't want to know about.
It does get to the point where you open up those tabs, you just start randomly clicking stuff, and you're like, I ain't got a clue what I'm doing. I'm just randomly clicking because, let's be honest, 9 times out of 10, people aren't going to read any documentation. They're just going to want to jump in. That is both the joy and the curse of Gaia, being that it's real time. You're able to tweak stuff. You tweak it in real time, and you can get instant gratification of what did that click I just do to modify my world and what I see. And that is fantastic. The negative to that is, but it just breeds laziness in us, that we're like, I don't need to sit there and learn everything beforehand. I can just jump in and start touching buttons.
Yeah, absolutely. When I first started doing this in probably 2013, I reckon that's probably when it was, I created a world the same size as this, 2 kilometers. It took me 2 weeks, because back then the only tool you had was Terrain Composer 1, which I spent a month with and then decided that it wasn't for me. So I bought tools that didn't even run in Unity. First of all, I did it all manually. It took 2 weeks to get something that looked like goo. It was truly terrible. Then I started to research code. Then I bought tools. Then I bought.
What's that one? What's that one that we were using for doing the splat maps back in the day? Oh,
yeah, it was World something.
And yeah, we would sit there for like hours, like days, building these 512 just really small. And go here, slice it into pieces. Okay, let's make them get it now. These splat maps into Terrain Composer, and yeah, painful.
Yeah. And that product, that one of those first ones, which it cost me about $100 at the time to buy, it just created a height map, and it just created a splat map, and you still couldn't do anything with it. You had to then work out how to get that into Unity, how to configure it, then how to get it into your splats. Like you had to learn what splats were, full stop. For me, that was all new. So that thing was a huge learning curve, and it was expensive. Whereas now we just go clickety click and we get something beautiful in minutes that back in the day took me 2 weeks to do something really ugly.
And let's not forget that because one of the first posts that we just saw on the Gaia 2 was like, Gaia 2 is very different to Gaia 1. It's too different to be called the same asset. That was the review. But in that, the guy was a little bit daunted from Gaia 2 compared to Gaia 1 for all the extra features. All those features that we're seeing listed in Gaia 2 is more than the multi-tile support which was originally suggested. Gaia 2 was only
Yes.
supposed to be multi-tile support, and that's probably what that reviewer was thinking. He was thinking, I'm going to get Gaia with multi-tile support, that is Gaia 2. But he's basically been given a load of free stuff to make it
Yep.
far more powerful. The problem with Terrain Composer that we had, and you had exactly the same problem as I remember, that we would sit there and make something, and next month we would go to use it again and have no recollection of how it works. It was like,
Yep.
but I just used this a month ago. Why isn't it intuitive enough for me to remember what the heck I just did? It's like, I just used this.
Yep.
Why have I now forgotten everything? And you have to go and retrace all of your steps of what you previously did, and then go, well, I'm not even getting the same output. What did I do? What did I do differently this time that I didn't do last time? And thanks to that, and we got Terrain Composer to thank, we got Gaia, because that was your problem.
Yeah. So this is something, I mean, it's a new product. It is. It's a complete rebuild from the ground up. But, and we even added more stamps, but it's still stamp driven, right? And it's still got its environments and so on. So here's the stamp, and we can still do the same sort of stuff that we used to be able to do before. So we can do that, and we can do that, and all that sort of stuff. So the same fundamental concepts are there, but now instead of having this ugly mesh, it's actually a real-time visualization of how that stamp looks. And then what we can do is we can raise height, lower height, and all those sorts of things.
We can start. I was going to ask you, what is the difference between now your stamps in the Terrain, because Unity have got their own stamping in the Terrain now, effectively.
Yeah.
So why do we need to be using your stamping in? Because stamping is only one part of it.
It's nicer and easier to use, basically. So you can paint in a stamp with Unity's terrain tools, but you know what? I'd rather just go, yeah, I reckon it should go just there. And then I should be able to go like this, press a button, and not only did I stamp it, but I also retextured it. Bang, done. So we've stamped and textured and blended this thing into our environment just like that, and you saw how quick that was. Now let's actually go and refine this thing a little bit further. Now this is a Gaia a Pro feature I'm going to show you. If I go back to my stamper, and this time I'm going to use a different type of mask. Instead of an image mask, I'm going to use a distance mask. And I'm going to, instead of raising height, I'm going to, let's say, apply some sharpening. So now you can see a real-time preview of how this thing is being sharpened. So notice the original terrain, and now we're sharpening what this thing is looking like, and we can, increase it even more or decrease it. So again, if we wanted to just apply that, boom, we can. So we're using our masking system, and now we've sharpened and changed the way this thing looks, and we retextured it in real time as well. And then let's actually, instead of sharpening it...
1 second, you're going to have to stop and start your camera again, because I think that's caused Skype to...
Yeah, no, that was a bit of a secret squirrel there. We can't show you that. Let's try screen share.
Skype was like, your computer's too powerful. Okay, here we go. There we go.
All right.
I can see everything's beautifully and crisp again.
So we're going to sharpen ridges. We're going to turn our preview back on. On preview. There we go. And it's even sharpening it more. But let's add some terracing.
Oh, nice.
And then so this is some of these features, like where we've got it and it belongs to Pro only, we actually show it to you. So you can see you've actually got
prefixed it.
Yeah. So, this is a Pro feature, but you've actually got the guts of the stamping system and the masking system. And I'll show you some more cool stuff about masking. I love the masking system. You've got masking in Gaia 2 as well. And this is the stuff, this is over delivery compared to what we promised. But let's change our distance mask. So we'll go to our little size thing here and bring it back in. So we only want to apply terraces over here. We could do other sorts of things. Let's increase the bevels in here. Let's zoom in a bit. Increase, decrease, all that sort of stuff, and then just play with these values. There we go, pushing it out. So that's this new look. Now let's do something else. Let's add another mask here, and this time I'm going to mix some noise in with it. So we've got a noise texture here, and the noise is actually changing how this mask is being applied. So let's zoom into the noise. You can see that it's actually dynamically affecting the mask as we move around the noise. If I actually make this noise a little bit more distinct and change that to a broken, there we go. So now we're making the noise a lot more distinct, but you can't really see it, so I've got to choose some different noise settings. Let's change our noise type.
And it's not responding this quick just because you've got a powerful computer, is it?
No, this runs beautifully on pretty much anybody's computer. You might find it will run a bit slower if you've only got integrated graphics.
But if you've only got integrated graphics, you shouldn't be. You should be in a cupboard.
That's right. You shouldn't be running games. Increase the persistence. Start to really muck around with this thing. Zoom it in a bit. Change the amount of detail we've got in this thing, and then move it around.
While you play about with your sliders, just one question we forgot to ask about Snap Builder, because you said maybe 2 or 3 weeks we might be looking at it. But what's the launch price going to be, and then what's the full price going to be?
Launch price and full price. Not 100% sure. It'll be we'll do a special for launch, and it'll be a good price for launch, and then it'll be around the same price as Gina or Gaia 1. So that's the sort of pricing I'd expect to do for it. But the exact details, as soon as we finalize it, then I'll announce them. But they won't be priced to craziness, and it'll be something that hopefully, it's a reasonable price for a reasonable product. So around the $70 mark for probably full price, maybe a little bit more, and then we'll do a launch special for the duration of the spring sale.
So that stamp you just put down there was pretty damn quick.
It's very
masking in there.
Yep. Yeah, it's real time essentially, because we're using the GPU to do all the masking, and we're using the GPU to do the real time modification of the terrain, so you can see it. I'll show you one more cool thing, because we've been blatting on for a while.
I know, I'm looking at the time, and I'm really aware. It is nice and early in the morning for you. It's late for some people, but we did say we've been 2.5 hours already. About 2 hours 20 minutes, 2 hours 15 minutes.
Yeah.
But as the problem is, like, once we start playing, we can't help ourselves.
Yes. All right. So let me just create something so you can see what I'm going to do. I'm going to create.
Like click new. Like, I have no attachment to what I've just created. I'm looking at it going, they're so beautiful. I'll click save on that, and they're like, no, I can just do it whenever I want, because that's the joy of Gaia. It's like, click the magic button, make me a beautiful terrain. I don't even have to care about. I don't even have to look at it. I just close my eyes, click some buttons, and I've got something beautiful.
That's the general idea. So let me just show you very quickly, give you a sense of biomes, because once I show you one, they're all working basically the same. So I'm going to disable the biome here and just turn on the spawner, and then I'll just quickly stamp that.
Cool. Let me answer some questions while you're doing that. Aries
yeah,
asking about overhangs and terrain pass-throughs. This is using Unity terrain. So generally, when you're talking about overhangs, you are talking about additions to that. So that's why, like things like Digger, it's using, other. In addition, it's not just Unity terrain. So it's the same with you being here. Gaia is modifying Unity terrain. So,
yeah.
but you had another. We're talking about overhangers and pass throughs. Well, you've got CTS. You've got other things that you could be doing in the shader if you want to be doing that. Tricks and things. With the stone codes, is it possible to apply different biomes to different areas such as rivers?
Yes. So in fact, actually, I'm going to show you the idea that I'm going to show you now. What you can take away is, yes, we can use this masking system. We can actually mask biomes as easily as we can mask anything else. So what I'm just going to show you just very quickly. So I chose a different biome because I prefer the textures on it. It's easier to see them. So here we've got, a nice little island that we've just stamped. But let's say we wanted to modify the way the textures were being applied. So if we go to our biome, we can go into our texturer. And these are the rules that are being applied to this biome for these textures. So let's turn on our visualizer. So let's turn on this one. Boom. What you're seeing here is a real-time preview of where this texture would be applied to the terrain. In fact, let's even build it up. So I'll turn that off and I'll turn off all these textures and you'll see how I actually make these biomes. So first of all, let's spawn this thing. Boom. Okay, we've got some grass. The grass, if we visualize it, is everywhere. All right, so now let's turn on our next texture. So it's one of the textures that we give you. So here are all the assets and so on. It's a terrain texture, but it could be details, trees, game objects, or extensions. So we can spawn all sorts of things. Let's visualize this one. Okay, so this is the forest floor, and it's using the concavity mask, and you can see it's not being applied to many places in the terrain. So let's just, so it's very subtle, but we'll spawn that. So now you can see there's a bit of variation. Now let's go to the next one. So we'll turn this one on. This is our forest ground. Let's preview this. So it's like painting layers of paint on top of something. So you can see this one's actually going in a few places. So how are we controlling where this is going? And this is where the real-time GPU stuff is as well, right? Because to calculate that and display that, we've got to do that in the GPU. So what are we doing here? Well, first of all, we're using a height mask. So I'm just going to turn off all these masks. Whoops, wrong button. Bing. So you can see how we've built up the mask. So if we have no mask, it goes everywhere. Let's look at our height mask. Okay, let's open that up and find out a bit more. So this has got a strength transform, so we can change how that mask is being applied. It's got a curve, and it's going between 46 meters and 231. So we could actually change this if we wanted. So we could, drag that down a bit and see as we change the settings here, you can see in real time where this will be applied. I love this. Same thing with the curves, right?
There was no latency at all in what you just did. It was like, boom, real time.
Yeah, it's such a visual and cool way to create your environment. So let's say I'm happy with that. Now I'm going to add some more interest to this. And this is a pro feature, this one. So I'm going to turn on my concavity mask. All right, so what are we doing here? So we're now masking for convexity and concavity. And you can see what I wanted to do when I made this is actually not have it appear on the top of the mountain. So if I turn that off, notice it's everywhere. But this is a ground forest. It's a forest ground. So we don't want it to appear at the top. So what's going on here? We're testing for convexity, but equally we could test for concavity. So we're filtering for different parts of our terrain. That's cool. And then how big do we want this thing to be? Do we want it to really, really follow the features, or do you want to make it sort of broad and quite, you know, blurry? So yeah, let's say, yeah, we're happy with that. Now let's look at our noise. Let's add some noise into this. So you can see by turning that on and off, we have instantly changed where this is being applied. And again, you can get in, you can, if we open up our noise preview, it's locked, so you don't accidentally change it, but we could just do this and drag it around, and you can see as we drag the noise around, there's real-time GPU generated.
That is crazy.
Yes, oh, it's fantastic. So I'm going to lock that again and close that up. And, you know, we could change different noise types. I could go and zoom in, and I won't go into all the details of it. Now let's turn on slopes. Okay, so we only want this on fairly flat areas. So here we're filtering out the slopes.
And this is the stuff that we're used to with Gaia and Gina previously, is that it's to say, like, you know, if you want the trees, certain trees to be spawned on certain slopes or certain elevation. So it's the same language that we're already used to.
Yes, yeah, except now it's real-time visualization. So, okay, let's add a bit more noise to add a bit more variation in there. Yeah, looking at that, there's probably a difference somewhere. I would say that's an operation that we could get rid of. Oh yeah, it is there. If you go and zoom in real close, we just turn it on and off. You can see there's, whoops, I'll just close that up. You can see we're adding a little bit of extra detail in there. And then let's run another concavity mask. And we're just, you know, again, filtering out a bit more stuff. But at the end of that, let's see what the effect of this is. Now, so what's actually happening here is it's applying each rule one after the other all over again. So at first it paints the grass.
So it's going to it's not saying, oh, because last time I was run, the first two were already ticked, so I'm not going to do them again. It's actually repainting the canvas, putting the undercoat down and doing it all again.
Yeah, and boom, there's the outcome of the stuff we just did. But there's some quite sophisticated stuff going on there. We're looking at concavity and all that sort of stuff. Okay, let's look at our next one.
So while you bring out the next one, because this is all posing questions to people in chat. Like Yolin's asking, does this now, because we said it right at the beginning, Gaia Pro means if Gaia Pro is the only thing I've purchased, I don't need Enviro, I don't need Aquas. If Gaia Pro is the only thing I've purchased, I don't need CTS anymore.
Well, this is actually doing a great job with Unity terrain, right? So we always try and do the best we can with what Unity gives us. You know, we're trying to take advantage of the features of the engine. And then what you can see here is, you know, when we actually spawn this, it looks pretty damn nice. Yeah. We're making Unity terrain look pretty nice. But let me show you something, and this will give you a sense of the difference. And let me just zip that past the screen very quickly, and then I'll find the right spot. Yeah. And it'll give you a sense of the difference.
I don't have your screen sharing. Say when you want me to pop back to your screen.
Yeah, so how do I do this? And of course it's not working like I'd like.
Same as you did when you want me to show your screen again.
Actually, what I'll do is I'll take, no, it's really seeing them side by side that you need to see this. Hang on, because I'm showing underneath my kimono a bit here, and I don't necessarily want to do that because it's secret squirrel.
I don't want to see under your kimono, mate.
I know. That's not the sort of guy you are.
That drunk weekend, you know, what goes on, we don't talk about it on stream.
All right, so now you can pop it out again.
Okay.
So over in the left-hand side of the screen, you can see this is what we've done with Gaia Pro. Well, this would have been probably Gaia Pro, but you can put your own assets in, do it with Gaia 2, right? It's the same core engine. It's just missing a couple of those refined filters. Mm-hmm. That's plain old Unity. That's Unity plus CTS. exactly the same terrain. Look at the difference visually.
Yeah.
It's chalk and cheese.
So you can still make beautiful stuff with it, but you're still going to benefit from having CTS in your project.
Yes. Well, I just look at that and I go, wow, that's beautiful, right? Look at the beautiful colors. Whereas, the light's not right. I look at this and it bothers me because I can see that it's wrong. Whereas CTS makes that same space, right? But just so much more interesting. Same lighting, same space, much more interesting terrain.
Now, how is the integration with Gaia Pro in being out of the box that we can just click on it and away we go between the two?
We probably will do a little modification to CTS in the next week, just to make it a bit better. But it works quite nicely right now, because we had some reports in our support that CTS is not working well with it, and we tested it, and it is. But the thing that's different is Gaia Pro, CTS. In the old way I used to do Gaia 1, because this comes back from Unity 4 and Unity 5, for every 4 textures in your terrain, you do a draw call or a draw pass. So as soon as you add another 4 textures, that's another pass on the terrain. And I was always trying to make it as efficient as possible. So I always restricted myself to 4 textures. Now, we built the team, and they don't necessarily always think the same way I do, going, oh, we'll just do this with 4 textures. So they built terrains with 8 textures. In fact, they built one with 16 until I told them to take it back to 8. In fact, this early version of it, I think, or it might have been another one. Anyway, the implication of that is that there's a big performance impact. And the default profiles that we set up with CTS are only based on 4 textures. So, because CTS was built way before Gaia 2 and Gaia Pro. So if you apply a 4 texture profile to an 8 texture terrain, there will be 4 textures that no longer have a texture assigned to them, because CTS just draws what it gets. So if your splat maps say that, or your terrain, the texture layers say there's 8 textures, then CTS will draw 8 textures. But if 4 of those textures are physically missing from the CTS profile, then they'll be rendered as black.
Yeah.
So coming back to our original image here, we actually just created we created the terrain, and then we went into CTS and we created a profile for that terrain. What then happened is CTS sucked all the textures out of the terrain and created a profile. Whereas CTS comes with a bunch of default profiles, but because they are designed for 4 texture terrains instead of 8 texture terrains, then all of a sudden you see these black patches where the texture would have been. So if you actually just create your profile from the terrain, then CTS will pick up all the textures out of the terrain and you'll get the effect you're looking for.
Lovely.
So yeah, what are the tweaks we're going to make to CTS? We'll just make that a little bit more obvious. For example, if you try to apply a 4 texture profile to an 8 texture terrain, we'll warn you and say, hey, this is going to cause you problems. Yeah. The other thing we want to do, so we've found with the latest Unity terrain renderer that there are some lighting issues, and like for example, Gaia 2 and Gaia Pro, we actually rebuilt our shaders, or we tested and generated our shaders from HD and URP version 7.3.1, just to make sure that it works on the latest stuff that's available. But you can run them in 7.2 just fine, which is the minimum version that comes with Unity 2019.3. So CTS, when we did the last version of CTS, which was only 2 or 3 months ago, 7.1.8, and this comes back to my point about the HDRP and all these pipelines is so crazy. 7.1.8 was buggy as hell. 7.2 was reasonably buggy. 7.3 seems a bit less buggy. So there was some concern, particularly in the different render pipelines, about CTS. If you're running in the built-in, you won't have any problems. If you're running in URP and HDRP, I know that there's some shadow problems, and we need to wait for Amplify to catch up with that. I think they have now, but we also work with Bart from Nature Manufacture, so we have to wait for him to get some time to rebuild all the shader graphs for, or the shader trees in Amplify for CTS in all the different shaders that we have for CTS, and then across the different pipelines. And it's a huge amount of work. So it's not something that Bart just goes, oh yeah, I'll just press that button and 5 minutes later it's out. There's a bunch of work. So he needs to do that. Then we need to take that back, integrate it into all of the automated shader upgrade and different pipelines, and then test it and then release it. So we will upgrade the shader support in CTS to the latest stuff that Unity supports, but it might be another week or two. But right now, as I showed you, if you're using built-in, there's no problem at all.
I'm lucky because I don't touch the other stuff still. I don't trust it. I don't touch it. I'm happy. I know it looks pretty and the stills look nice, but I just don't want to. I've got too little time left in the world. I don't want to spend it playing about with shaders and things that don't work. So, and like you said, those screenshots that you showed earlier were using the built-in. Blew my mind. I thought that was HDRP.
Yeah, well, the artists just went nuts. I was absolutely gobsmacked and amazed in a really positive way. I just went, holy shit, this is amazing. And that's, so, you know, I'm not too bad at this, but the difference between me and a pro, an artist doing this stuff, is incredible. And that's what we've, you know, we get AAA studios doing stuff with our tools, but, you know, I'm not a AAA artist. I'm just a really, you know, a moderately knowledgeable programmer. So, yeah.
Oh, it's looking beautiful. Mate, should we do a raffle?
Yes, I think it's time. We've bored the shit out of people for all this time and waffling on. It's time to give some stuff away. If there's anybody left, you've hung around, made you hang out.
They deserve it, don't they? They've hung
yeah,
around.
you deserve it.
All right. So we're giving away a copy of Gaia Pro, which is now the flagship product on the asset store of Procedural Worlds. Well, it always has been, but now it definitely is. But for a long time, actually, your sector complete was your most expensive thing, wasn't it?
Yes. Yes.
Not anymore. And when it costs, we kind of like you're beating around the kind of giving us numbers, kind of like in the hundreds of thousands of. And I don't know, is that $250,000, $500,000? We just don't know.
Oh look, I haven't gone back and done an exact reconciliation. I
don't want to know the number. I don't want to have a heart attack. But if you want to give like people a kind of, you know, because you don't need to justify really the price of the current one, and you compare it to things like World Creator, which I think this is where it's now competing in that space justifiably, but it's still 287 is a weird number on that 7, and it's, I think World Creator is, how much is World Creator, like 500 or something? I don't know, can't remember how much it is. Somebody in chat would say. So you're not the most expensive terrain tool out there, but you're also a weather tool, shaders, you've got water in there. And what else did we say? We got the sound, because you've got like sound in there as well. Time of day.
Lighting,
snow
and weather and all that sort of stuff. Streaming, that's not exactly a small one. You don't get that with any other product. It's, I think maybe Map Magic would be the closest, which is also a great product. But I don't know, and I'm not 100% sure on this, that it gives you the edit capability that we have built into Gaia Pro, like as in the whole inherently optimized for streaming and for large environments.
That's the one thing about map magics. Like, you know, you can make never-ending worlds in map magic because of its clever cheating that it does. But as soon as you start pinning in map magic, like, okay, I want to pin that terrain, then it starts eating up the memory again. So you can't keep on pinning too many things. But what I would love to see is if Gaia Pro is going to take the place in Yolan's heart that he has in map magic, because he's used every single terrain tool out there, and okay, it's 29. Thank you, Merciless Enemy. So 289 is the full price of World Creator, the standalone. That's not the one that's on the asset store, correct? The World Creator on their shop. Is that it? 289? I thought it was more than that. So you're still cheaper than World Creator, and you're offering
by $2.
by $2.
Yeah, but we offer different, like that's a really high quality product. I really respect those guys. They do amazing work.
And that was everything that blew me away. Like when we used to chat, you're the one who actually put me down the World Creator path. Like, you're the one who showed me and was like, dude, have you seen World Creator? It's fantastic. They're really great guys. You should check out World Creator. And this is the guy who made Gaia telling me to go and check out World Creator. That's the kind of world we're living in. Well, yeah, that's the community-driven spirit that we've got going on in Unity. It's not, hey, I'm making Gaia, don't touch. I'm not going to show you other people's. And if anyone remembers, we had Adam in, we had Dennis in, we had my mind's just went blank.
Was that Nathaniel?
Nathaniel was going to join him, but he didn't make it in time. And we had obviously Stefan from World Creator was on, and Mad Maps. I've forgotten the guy's name from Mad Maps.
Yeah, Mad Maps. Yeah, and he's probably the newest environment generator in the scene, and he's done a great job too.
And each of them were together having a chat, and I was baiting you all, trying to get you to fight each other, and it was bloody a love fest. I was like, oh, you're so fantastic. No, you're fantastic. Oh, you're great. No, you're great. And I was like, come on, get the knives out. Start stabbing each other. Come on. Where is it?
The thing is, like, if you're interested in this stuff, if depending on what you are, if you are a pro, then this is nothing. $287 is nothing, particularly given the man years of effort you're getting and all the stuff that just makes it so easy for you to create amazing environments. If you're an indie, it's sort of a lot, but you compare that to mountain biking or any other hobby, because that's largely what it is for indies. They spend thousands and thousands of thousands on their hobby. So even if you had everybody charging $287, $289 for your hobby, if you really genuinely love it, you'll spend the money. And the people that love this stuff, they've got all the tools. And I look at it as you're like a tradesman. A tradesman doesn't just have one hammer. He has all sorts of different types of hammers, and he borrows the cool stuff that's special about each hammer for each job. So my experience is from the asset store is, everybody buys all the tools anyway, and then at different times different tools come out with different and cool features. And for us, we're brewing this since 2016. Actually, we almost had a release in 2017, and actually then things weren't quite so nice on the asset store, so it was one of the reasons why I didn't release it. But certainly wasn't with any of these people. But our customers, they'll buy them all anyway, just because that's what it's what you do when you're following your passion and you're doing stuff that you love.
We got the in chat, they're saying, I'm an indie, but I consider you, as in Procedural Worlds, to be my dev team, and that is the assets. I always see that as what the asset store is, that you're actually buying. When you buy an asset, you're buying team members, the time that it takes those people to be part of your team. The raffles come to an end, Wizards Don't Code says, I already own it. So we've got Lab saying, Audio Pro, good luck to everyone. Ditto, I nearly entered so I could auction it for charity if I won. Well, I'm glad you didn't, Wizard Don't Code, because as lovely as that would have been, I also want somebody in chat to actually win it so they can make something sexy with it. I'm going to sell it for... Somebody's going to sell it to Fresh Meat for $500 if he wins it.
Well, if somebody's already got it and they win, then we'll do vouchers for some of our other products.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So that way, you know, you can go in, and if we've got something else that you haven't got, then we'll be happy to give you a copy.
I'm gonna open it up then. I'll open it up for 20 more seconds for those who didn't go in because they were like, I already got it. Okay, it's open for 20 seconds. If you already have it, !Raffle in chat. !Raffle in chat. Twisty, you can go in. !Raffle in chat. If you already do have it. If you've already raffled, you don't have to type in raffle again. You already are.
Yeah, like let's say Snap Builder is interesting to you. You might want to get a copy of Snap Builder when it comes out. That would be a pretty cool tool.
Okay, is everyone in? Wizard Don't Code, are you in? I own it all. Well, you don't own all of it because it hasn't come out yet. You need. There you go. I was about to say you need to actually spell raffle correctly if you want to be in. Oh, okay, so you've all had a chance to go in again, and it's closed. Doors closed. Now I'm going to do a drum roll, and by doing a drum roll, I think this calls for a proper drum roll. So I'm going to go on to YouTube, and we're going to go. I'm going to go and find one that is not 1 minute long. Oh my gosh. 1 minute long drum rolls. Okay.
You're going to have to do it a little bit faster, mate. I've got to go to the toilet.
Can you actually hear the drum roll? I can't even hear it.
No, I can't hear it.
I can't hear nothing. Let me put the headphones on. Oh, it is working. Okay. I'm going to the other speakers. Ready? Everyone ready? Shortiers has won it. I think it's actually the first day, the first time they've come onto the stream, and they joined the Discord today. So first time called in. Congratulations, mate. So you need to go for a whiz.
Yeah, I gotta go.
Mate, thank you so much for popping in. Thank you for your generosity. Thank you also for sponsoring the Messy Coder Game Jam as well. You're a fantastic fellow. Thank you to the entire Procedural Worlds team. And thank you for holding in your whiz that you needed for so long to be showing us the joy that is Gaia Pro and all the other shenanigans. And also the fact that you're going to be auctioning off Storm when it comes on as well.
I did not say that. All right, mate. Well, thanks so much for having me on. It was a pleasure as usual. It's always fun to have a chat with you. And yeah, I'll see you around.
Cheers, pal. Catch you later. Well, that was it for another live dev interview. We've got many more of these beautiful badges for you to watch and listen to. And if you pop over to twitch.tv/themessycoder and click on the VOD section, you can also catch the full-length interviews, all of them, over on Twitch. Actually, maybe 2 or 3 of them were missing because the videos got corrupted on Twitch. But, forget about that part. Go over to allthews.twitch.tv/themessycoder. Click on that follow button and watch the VODs there. Or you can also watch them here over on YouTube. That's right, where you are now. That's youtube.com/themessycoder too. We've also got Twitter. Twitter.com/themessycoder. Pretty much anything you want to stick in front of the Messy Coder, you can stick it there and he'll gladly be on the backside of it. So if you do like these videos, you want to see more, click on that juicy subscribe button, click on that magic bell. If you do like it, click it. Till next time. If you want to see more of my crazy videos, click on the left side of your screen now. And down below, there's that big juicy subscribe button. And right next to it is the magic bell that if you click it, it will tell you if I've got a new video coming out. Till next time.